That's right, y'all. It's Bravador Live. What's going on, everybody? If you're there, let me know you're there. Let me know you're there. What's happening? What's going on? We got a real good show for you tonight. This is the new Bravador Live. I see we on Facebook. Yeah, I see we on Facebook. We're doing good there, y'all. You know, if you're not a stranger to Bravador Live, you know I always check and make sure everything is everything. So I see we're there, and I'm gonna go ahead and share this onto to my group pages. If you're a member of the Bravador Live page, I'm sending it to you right now as far as the link so you can check out this new version of Bravador Live. My man Jaquan is right there.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Kick it off, man. And thank you, man, for the short notice and kicking this off and everything. But I really wanted to have you on, man, with this new format of what we're doing.
I appreciate you having me, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. What's been going? Well, first of all, let me do this real quick. I'm just letting everybody know the music in the background you hear. If you're just new to this, that's WQ Mix Worldwide Radio, 24/7. WQ Mix Worldwide. Go to the Facebook page, like the page. Go ahead and you can click on the links and hear the station all the time. We got everything going on over there at WQ Mix Worldwide Radio, and I'm sure you will like it. Definitely, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. True Mathematics, peace and blessings to you, man. Thank you for joining us. Sweet Lou, what's going on? Thank you for joining us. Martinez Kelly. Martinez, Jay.
Yo, what's up?
Martinez Kelly's on the line. Yes, no, I appreciate y'all being here. No doubt about it, no doubt. But listen, we're going to go ahead and kick things off and just go ahead and start. Like I said, my man Jaquan is here. He's right there. That's right. I pointed right this time because that's normally.
My man, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I mean, I'm kind of late on this technology as far as, sharing, doing remote broadcasts.
Yes.
What have you. You know, everybody was doing it at the beginning of the pandemic and what have you and whatnot. And we're still in the pandemic,
right?
Unfortunately. And we still got to mask up when we're around people, but though a lot of people feel that they don't have to mask up. And people have gotten COVID. It seems like a lot of people around me have gotten COVID, and a lot of people survived it, but those that did not survive it, I've been dodging it. I've been, bobbing and weaving and everything. I've been dodging it, man. So, I don't want no parts of it. So I'm masked up at all. I had to go to a funeral today. My wife's grandmother passed away, Miss Dorothy P. Macon, and she will be missed. A sweet lady, man. You're talking about somebody that's an angel on earth. That was her. And
condolences, man. Condolences.
Thank you. And I'm sure Sonia will thank you as well.
Sure.
The thing of it is that, man, they always talk about, you ever heard the saying that folks used to say, call them, kill him with kindness?
Oh, yeah.
That was Miss Macon.
That was her?
She was okay. Oh, man. Now, I heard her get raw a couple of times, but very rarely, and you got to really push her to that point. But she was a sweet lady, and we're going to definitely miss her. And she transitioned last Friday. So, but we were masked up there. We were masked up and what have you. This show is not about having masks in the pandemic. This show is about hip hop. This is Black History Month. What better way for Bravador Live to kick off a new version of Bravador Live than with my man Jaquan, hip hop historian, about some of the history of hip hop music that we know it. Now, a lot of you all know I did a documentary called The Hip Hop Legends of Central Virginia. I will say we did a documentary because everybody that's involved with it helped put it together because they offered their insight on Central Virginia hip hop. Central Virginia hip hop. I'll say that again. That's what it's on, Central Virginia hip hop. I know it was said somewhere that someone in Virginia needs to do a documentary on Central Virginia hip hop. And it was said that, it was not, the question was asked and it was not reciprocated that it was a documentary done. Well, I'm doing my best this month, going into next month. I'm going to plan on rebroadcasting Hip Hop Legends of Central Virginia on TV, as well as Soul R&B Radio Legends of Central Virginia on TV for Black History Month. I'm working it out with the radio station, please. We'll give you more details about it as soon as we can make that happen and share that, okay? But, Jay, you've been, for the last, I want to say 12 years, maybe longer, you've been connecting with a lot of the pioneers, the legends of hip hop as a whole, from Grandmaster Flash to Melly Mel to It's just so many. Davey DMX, also LL Cool J. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. And you write for also Rock the Bells, the Sirius radio station that LL Cool J has. How have you been doing with all this? I mean, from then to now, man, you've got a great accomplishment. You've accomplished so much. You know, just talk to me about it real quick. Talk to all of us about it.
Well, man, it's it's been a hell of a ride, man. Honestly, it's been just about 20 years, maybe a little more. I started around 96, 95, 96 when the internet first really started popping for everybody. I decided to, when I went on, this is before Google, before YouTube, before any kind of social media, just a little searching I would do. I was probably searching on excite.com or something like that. It was that long ago. And I was just searching for hip hop history. And it wasn't much out there. This is when you still had web pages, not websites, but web pages. And I think I saw something on KRS-One and a few things on Run DMC. It was that long ago that you didn't see pages and pages. It was literally a couple things on the internet. And at that moment, I said, when this internet thing gets bigger, and I knew it would, they're not going to go all the way back into history. They're going to probably start sometime around Run DMC or after, when the music started, hitting mainstream and making a certain amount of money. I said, let me jump on this now and put up a few bios on some artists that came before that time period. So long story short, somewhere around 96, I really started rolling and putting up different bios of, Cold Crush Brothers and, Furious, Fantastic, those groups, Spoonie G, the pre-Run DMC stuff. And as I did it, man, people started to notice it, and the actual people that I was writing about started to notice it, because it really was not much online for that, covering that time period. So they started to reach out to me. Promoter Van Silk from the Bronx, what's up, Van Silk? He reached out. Curtis Blow reached out. So I started to get these interviews with these brothers. One of my first interviews with any artist was Curtis Blow. And then just from there, I would talk to Curtis Blow and I say, hey, I really admire Melly Mel. He give me Melly Mel's number. And Melly Mel give me Creole's number. And it started like that. And then, over the years I've been doing it, then really fast forwarding to now. When the pandemic hit, well, we've been in it 2 years now. When the pandemic hit, that's when we were forced to do what we're doing now. So instead of typing up interviews, I was just doing live interviews like this, Melly Mel, DJ Hollywood, Davey DMX, and Hurricane, Fearless 4, Crash Crew. The list goes on. And in between that time, because people, to me, they don't read as much as they used to. I took down a lot of my written interviews and I turned them into these mini documentaries that I narrate. And that's when things start really picking up. So to really, get to the real, answer to your question, man, it's really been a hell of a ride. But most of the people who know me from, like, the piece I did on Rakim on my YouTube page, the piece I did on LL, and that's how it got to this point. I write for Rock the Bells. At this point, I do some writing still for Jaquan.com and, still doing my film stuff, as you well know. And in fact, me and you were actually filming like literally a week before the world changed. And this thing, turned into what it turned into. It's no masking or anything. And when we got back to VA, like 2 days later, they declared this thing, a national or international, emergency and pandemic. So that's where we are now.
Well, it's amazing that you said that. And I was going to get into that, us filming, because later in the show, we're going to talk about some things that you and I plan on doing a little bit, to take it further and everything. So I wanted to get to that. But, that day, I remember when we were filming, we were in Connecticut. As a matter of fact, we were in Connecticut. And I'm saying this for everybody that's watching this. Jay and I were in Connecticut filming. Is it okay, Jay, if I say who we were filming?
Not yet, but we were.
Not yet. All right, but we were filming. Let's say that. We were filming, and we had a great time. That was a great trip. And we were on our way back, and we picked my daughter up in Harlem because at the time her school shut down, and she had to come home. Yes, she had to come. Well, she had to come home because she couldn't go to Korea for her study abroad. So she had to, come home. So we picked her up and brought her home. Next thing we know, just like Jay said, the world changed, the bottom fell out. Stuff started shutting down. Every day, stuff was shutting down. And everything changed. We had to put a halt to it. But one of the things I wanted to ask you as well, Jay, it's like from doing you shifted things into the film stuff as far as because you were doing a lot of writing. I would look at some of your interviews and it was so in depth. And I'm like, wow, this takes time to type all this stuff on a web page or website, and you had the foundation, you started that page, the foundation. And I'm going to point this out because, Jay, I have to do that because I'm one of those guys that does it. You spawn a lot of other people wanting to do the same thing.
It was the people that did it. It's funny. I put up something online maybe a year ago because I took a little pause on doing my live lessons, and I put up a little thing, and I said, I'm still doing my live lessons. I'm just waiting for the copycats to finish what they're doing. So, and that really is kind of out of my character. I'm a little more humble than that. I mean, there are a lot of people, it could be coincidental, but a lot of people, all of a sudden, they started doing today is the whatever anniversary. And it's cool. Everybody can do whatever they want to do. But, as far as this is something I've always done. It's not a hustle. It's not a, something I'm doing. As you know, I mean, me and you go back, but the people that don't know, me and you were label mates, on Think Tank Records back, mid 80s, 87, 86. And I remember you interviewing me on the radio, WKIE, all rap station in Richmond. In 87, when you were interviewing me, I still got the interview on tape. When you and Fresh were interviewing me and Divine and Scratchmaster D,
right?
At that point, we were talking about Spoonie G and stuff like that, So I've always had that kind of affection for that era. And at that point, we were only it was 87. We were only 6-7 years past them guys making their first records. And I was talking about the old school when the new school first jumped off. So this is nothing new for me. So I do it because it's what I've always done. When I put my vinyl up, on Facebook, it's not because vinyl is the cool thing to do now. I've been collecting vinyl since I was literally 8-9 years old. So, and
that's what I wanted to jump in about and add to what you're saying. Not mean to cut across you at all, brother, but you've been in music since you were a young guy, and you've been collecting records ever since. So it's only appropriate for you to be talking about the old school back then, or the pioneers back then, and the origins of it back then.
Sure.
So it was only natural for you to do that, and now you brought it to this point now to where it's really coming full circle almost. And then you're getting ready to create a whole nother circle of what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I in the past, I've been, I'm sometimes humble to the point of it's a detriment to myself, because I don't mention certain things, even locally with the history here, of music. A lot of stuff I just sat back and not said anything because I just been too humble. And I look and it's like, oh man, I didn't get credit for this. So, nobody mentioned I did that. So, I'm kind of done with the humble thing. But the only reason I'm even saying it here is because it's not something that I get a chance to say. Like vinyl collecting, I mean, at one point that was the medium that you collected music on anyway. So anybody that knows me will tell you I had a record collection way before I was 10 years old. And when I got my paper route, you had to be 12 years old to carry the Richmond News Leader newspaper. That was a long time ago.
I remember that. I carried them too.
The day I turned 12, I started taking the paper. That's all my money, as I've said before, went to the arcade and taking that bus downtown to Album Den and GC Murphy's and, all the Bohannon's, all the places that sold records. And I was always, they knew me in the record store because every week, every 2 weeks, I come in there and buy records. So, from the time I was a kid, and this all spawned from, my mother, I don't know why she did it, but when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, she would take me to see the Barcades and Cameo and Confunction, and when Switch came to the Richmond Coliseum, the Gap Band, so I knew what concerts and what that good music was from the time I was way before I became a teen. So that's when you see me showing the records, it's not showing off. Like that's what I do. I've always done it.
You said you saw Switch.
Yes.
Bobby DeBarge and his brother Tommy, the original Switch. You saw them.
at the Richmond Coliseum. It's funny because I got a chance to talk to the brother, and I can't think of his name. The brother who founded Switch. I don't know why. The tall, dark-skinned brother.
Oh, you're talking about? He's on my Facebook too. Gosh, his brother. If he's watching, he's gonna disconnect.
And I know him, and we and him are cool. I've
Williams, last name Williams. Last name Williams.
Gregory Williams, maybe.
Gregory Williams.
Right. So I told him about that show, and of course, he remember every detail of who was on the show and all that. But I seen them all at the Coliseum, man. That was second nature. So it's funny whenever on social media they have those memes that say, "When was your first concert?" And people are saying Tribe Called Quest and all this, and I'm like, wow, man, my first concert was probably like the Barcades or somebody. Make you feel really old, but at the same time, the bar for me is very high on what live performance is. Yeah, because I seen the best do it. Before it was a rap, and then or any rap music. Then when rap music came in, the first shows, man, Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash. I'm seeing Mean Machine at King's Dominion. What's up, Mr. Shit? Seeing Mean Machine at King's Dominion Sequence. I don't never look at my age or how long I've been around as anything to be ashamed of. It's to have that wisdom and be able to look at things through the lens that we can look at is actually a blessing, man. So that's where I am with it, bro.
Let me tell you something. My first show at the Richmond Coliseum was the Underwater Booty Affair. Parliament Funkadelic.
Parliament,
and
yes,
it was,
sir.
And I'm gonna tell you when it was. It was January 1979. It had just finished snowing outside. And my brother Chocolate Chip took me there, and I'm in the front row, and I'm looking all out of place. I got this. My mama made me wear this long coat. I mean, I don't know why I wore it. Rest in peace, Mom. But I wore this coat. My brother got on a leather coat. He got leather boots on, like the leather boots. He got on designer jeans. His wife is there. She got all that stuff. Her brother's wife was with us. I remember her, and she stood out front with me, in front of the stage, and everybody was kind of looking at me like, "Who is this kid?" But I was just sitting there, just checking out the vibe. Man, they were firing up some boy. Let me tell you, I was in wow. And then I saw the Brides of Funkenstein. I got Dawn Silva and them came out. Man, I was like, whoa. They were the ones on the show for me. It was the Brides of Funkenstein. They were. And then, I'm like, where's my brother was backstage, of course, because of the radio station and everything at that time. At that time, I'm 12 years old. I'm 12 years. No, wait a minute. 79. I'm 13 years old. And I just remember that show vividly. And then I didn't go to another show until a couple of years later. But that was the first show.
It's funny you talk about, people lighting up, man, because I think I seen Rick James every time he came here. Several times he didn't show up.
I remember those too. Yeah.
But I remember, the weed smoke would be very, very thick in the air at those type of shows. And another thing too, man, I used to when WENZ was out and in all those AM stations, I was real good. If you remember the touch dial phones, I just really sound old.
Touch tone.
When the touch tone phones came out, they had the redial feature, which you didn't have on the old rotaries.
Right.
And I was real good with hitting that redial real quick. So, when the radio station would be like the 7th caller, blah, 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 I was always able to hit the redial real quick. And every time they give tickets away, I'd be on the phone.
Because everybody didn't have a redial.
Tickets to see Grandmaster Flash, Girls, and Rick James at the Coliseum.
Everybody didn't have a redial. Everybody didn't have it. Only certain people had it. And it was a feature that you could get, but you had to pay extra. And my dad was not paying extra for nothing. I remember it.
It's so long ago, man. And if I told my kids these stories, they probably think that, wow, this is an old people story. But remember, you couldn't go to the store and get a phone. You had to go to the Bell store downtown.
Yes, you did.
Because they had it was a proprietary thing. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me charge up. Hold on.
Okay. It's WQ Mix Worldwide Radio in the background, everybody. You hear that? It's the backdrop sounds. This is Bravador Live, the new Bravador Live. My man Jay Quan is my guest. In the background, Janet Jackson, the cool summertime mix of Nasty.
Oh yeah. That's the point. So, you had, Bell owned everything. Bell Atlantic owned everything. You couldn't go in a store and buy a phone till sometime in, early part of the 80s. Anyway, you had that redial. And I used to win so much. And I got a picture somewhere of me with an afro. It's probably a Jerry curl, but I'm gonna call it an afro on here. It was a moist afro. And I had the
afro.
it was a moist afro. It wasn't a Jerry curl, but I had the Rick James shirt on. With it had Rick James' name, Grandmaster Flash, Mary Jane Girls. But I won so much on ENC, I swear to you, they banned me. I couldn't participate anymore in the 7th caller, 8th caller type things because I was killing that redial. But I remember seeing Rick James at the Richmond Coliseum, and I remember I know that Let the Music Play by Shannon was out. Because I never forget Grandmaster Flash taking a dub version of it and back spinning, and Creole came out and explained that the group had just broken up and all of that. So that Coliseum, in addition to my grandmother taking me every 2 weeks to wrestling, every time wrestling came to the Coliseum, and it was really every 2 weeks, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that was it. That was the growing up. I know you can identify because that's what it was,
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Richmond Coliseum was just our focal point for shows. I mean, you had some that would come to the back then called Mosque, and then Landmark, and now it's called Trio. But when the shows like the Fresh Fest and all that came, Def Jam Tour, all that landed at the Richmond Coliseum.
Harlem Globetrotters, the Harlem Globetrotters would always come in March. Every March, the Harlem Globetrotters would come, and definitely that was the spot.
The circus would come there.
That's right.
I mean, it was the spot. And right now, we have nothing. Right now, we absolutely have nothing.
The Coliseum looked like an old spaceship.
Yeah, I used to call it the Jupiter 2
when I was a kid
because I think they designed it with a modern feel to it at that time.
At that time, right?
Yeah, and the popular look then was Star Trek, Lost in Space. So I guess the architect probably had that in his head. That's the only thing I can think of because the way it is, it's like a flying saucer that's landed, But I don't know what the fate of the Richmond Coliseum is going to be now because, it was supposed to have been torn down, then they halted on it, and that's a fence around it, and I know it's going to take a lot of money to revamp it because it's been vacant for so long now. So, God knows what's in there. You know what I'm saying?
We had some good times there, man. And, thanks to you. And I always give props to you, man. People ask me, like, I work with the Hip Hop Museum in DC, right? So that last induction ceremony we had, I inducted Kumo D and Rakim, Kid Capri and those kind of cats. Nice and Smooth, Pete Rock. But people ask me all the time right here, on the different platforms we're streaming to now, what's it like meeting, Rakim? What is it like? Are you starstruck? And what they don't realize is, I met these people when I was 16 years old. When we made our record, I was 16, going on 17. And you were, not only my label mate, you were one of the DJs with the Z-Rock crew, DJ Emcee Fresh, yourself, and later Sir RJ on the radio. So you would call me up, hey, Jay, shows in town night, they staying at the blah, blah, blah hotel. They at the Radisson. Come on down. You want to meet Chuck? Come on down. You want to meet Rakim? Come on down. So, and at one point, we were opening up for these groups. So we were hanging out with Chuck D and Rock. I remember going in the back entrance down there to meet Rakim right when Peyton Ford was out, shaking his hand and talking to him. So, so by now, we're 30 years later, I'm like, nah, man, I might have been a little starstruck when I was a teen, but we had those experiences back then. I told a story recently about, hanging out with Heavy D. After the show was over, he wanted to know, could somebody take him to Burger King? I'm in my mother's car. Me and Divine, we walk into Burger King with Heavy D, seeing UTFO, God bless, educated rapper, and Kango Kid.
Right.
When that was the Ash Center, but, we had some great times in both of those places.
And I remember that show when they came to the Ash Center. It was cold. It was Christmas night. It was Christmas night.
It was the night after. It was the 26th. It was the
26th, the night after. The night after Christmas, when the Arthur Ashe Center, I remember it was very cold. Matter of fact, the pictures that I've shared with Kango, Fresh, and myself,
right?
That was that night.
Mm-hmm.
That was that night. And I at times, I talk to Doc Ice a lot because Doc Ice and I are really close. I did 3 of his latest videos that he had. I did those, and we talk about a lot of those things and whatnot. Houdini coming to town, and I grew closer to them. Rest in peace to Ecstasy. Jalil and I are very close now. It been close for a long time. Very close with the brothers of Houdini, and it's just that people were like, as a matter of fact, my new job that I'm working now, it's new, but it's not new because it's where I used to work, but I'm in a different capacity now. I'm an IT technician, and I saw one of my friends from when I went to Henderson Middle School, and she was like, "Man, I've been seeing you on your Facebook. You hanging out with legends, this and that, and that." I said, "They like family to me. They're like family." Chuck and I. How many years back do Chuck and I go? I mean,
yeah.
And just like you, Jay, you've grown, you've got a bond with these guys now and these ladies now, and stuff. And speaking of that, I get asked all the time, who was the first female MC? Who was the first female to do this? Who was the first female group? Who was the original DJ of Salt and Pepper? Which we know the original Spinderella was not even the original Spinderella. She was the second one, I believe. Millie was the second one, I believe it is. And then you had Dee Dee, that was the last one and everything. So, I mean, I get all these questions. So I'm going to go, for the record, tell me if I'm right or wrong. We're going to do it that way, okay? Let's do this. First female MC, Shy-Rock.
Definitely.
Okay. First DJ of Salt and Pepper was Spinderella, and she was the second Spinderella just of the Spinderella genre in the Bronx.
Right.
Correct?
Supposedly there was like maybe 3 Spinderellas. There's a Spinderella. There might have been 2 of them in the Bronx, but the Spinderella we saw on the cover of the Salt and Pepper album, Hot, Cool, and Vicious, that was the first Spinderella for the group. But there was a Spinderella that predates her. There might be some old flyers out there with that Spinderella.
She told me that I had a chance to meet her face to face and film her and what have you for a project. So yes, she said the exact same thing. Okay, now first female rap hip hop group was Sequence on record.
Oh yeah, on record, definitely. They came out a few weeks after the Sugar Hill Gang. In fact, what it was, Sugar Hill Gang went to Columbia, South Carolina to play, and the Sequence was so determined to get a record deal that they, found their way backstage and told Sylvia. Sylvia was actually there because the record was that new. She was still on the road with the groups, and they auditioned right there, and they got their deal for Sylvia. So they were first on record.
Okay, Jay, I got to take a pause real quick. Give me a second, okay? Y'all, it's WQ Mix Worldwide Radio, providing the backdrop sounds. This is Bravador Live. Jaquan Bravador. Here's the Bee Gees. All right, thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. I have to do a break every now and then to let the music breathe a little bit, Jay. Got to let it breathe a little bit. Yeah, so that's what we do on WQ Mix Worldwide Radio. Everybody, please like and share.
Let people know what that Bee Gees song is, because you play that all the time. That's their most soulful song. What's the name of that song again?
That's Love You Inside Out, 1979 from, what was the name of the album? Something with Flo. No, Children. Was it Children of the Night? It was Children. Yeah, this one. I don't normally get twisted up on that, but it's those 2 albums, Children, and Breezes with Flo, something like that. I get mixed up. But I have them all right here.
You play that a lot, man. You play that a lot. And that was those boys were bad, man. That documentary on them is so dope.
Excellent documentary. And while we're talking about documentaries, I want to plug Ralph McDaniels and his documentary about This Is Video Music Box. Another excellent documentary.
Good work. Great work.
Great work. If you have not seen this documentary, you got to see it, everybody. You need to see the Bee Gees one, and you got to see the one with Ralph McDaniels, Video Music Box. Produced by Ralph McDaniels, Nas, Mass Appeal, Filmworks. Did a great job. Yep. Did a great job. But Jay, go ahead.
You were asking me about a different hip hop history.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, we said about the groups. Now, let's go a little deeper. The first female group, who was that?
It probably was the Mercedes ladies.
That's what I was going to say.
Because you had, the DJ, everybody was a woman, on the group. Everybody was a female in the group. So Mercedes ladies, definitely, like I said, Sequence first on record. The Mercedes ladies predate them, doing it, before there were any rap records.
All right. Now, how did you come about? And I'm going to shift gears around a little bit.
Sure.
How did you come about doing Rock the Bells? That is to do Rock the Bells. My gosh, man. I mean, I see your stuff and it says by Jaquan, man, it makes me feel proud. That look, that's Richmond, Virginia again, everybody. That's Richmond, Virginia. You know,
yeah, it's a little surreal, man. You know, and the thing is, I can't tell you exactly. I know how it happened, but I think 2 or 3 things happened at the same time. And again, man, you know, the pandemic, I would never like big up the, of course I wouldn't big up, hold on. I wouldn't big up the pandemic. We lost a lot of people. It was a terrible time, but it made us slow down and do a few, and I'm getting to your question. I'm trying to answer it in the shortest way possible, but tell you everything. It forced us to sit still for a minute. And in that sitting still, it forced me to say, okay, what can I do with this downtime? You know, writing stories takes forever. I don't know if anybody's really reading the whole stories I'm writing. So I'm still at that point. I was doing the written stuff online, but I'm doing the YouTube narrated stuff too. And that's taken off way more. You know, at one point, you remember Ambrosia for Heads, every time I did a story, they would share it, which really helped my subscribers a lot. So I did the piece on LL. But what most people don't know, the few people that know the story, I did a written piece on LL called 5 Reasons LL Should Be in GOAT Conversation. When I was still writing stories. And Scorpio saw it. He said, "This is dope, Jay. There's a lot of stuff that I ain't know. Do you mind if I show this to LL?" I'm like, show it to him. This was like probably 5 years ago. And I never heard anything back. And I'm like, well, either Scorpio show it to him or, you know, LL wasn't impressed, didn't like it, you know, whatever the case was, you know, just shoot the shot or whatever. So I thought the written piece was very good, but I liked the videos more because I could show the records and do my narration. And you can show people better than you can tell them with certain things. So I did the video, and Scorp saw the video. He said, "Hey, man, I'm going to share this with LL." So I said, cool. That was like maybe 10 o'clock one night. The video went for 20 minutes. So 20 minutes later, I didn't have my phone with me. I go back to my phone, and Scorpio from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, I got like 4 or 5 missed calls from him. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I called him back. He said, "Hey, man, I had LL on the phone. He saw the piece." And I'm like, wow, you know, you must have showed it to him right away. He's like, yeah, he want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So he called me back on the 3-way. And LL thanked me for making the video. He was, you know, really humble and poured praises on me. And he just kept saying, "Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Your narration, your voice, everything is perfect, blah, blah, blah." And I didn't hear nothing for a couple years. So fast forward to Rock the Bells becoming a reality, to both the satellite radio and the website part of it. And, you know, somebody reached out to me from Rock the Bells. The editor reached out. "Hey, you know, we seen your YouTube stuff. We love the stuff you write. Would you like to come and, you know, do some stuff for us?" They sent me a non-disclosure, because the site didn't exist yet. So I had to sign some paperwork that said, you know, that said I wouldn't talk about it or whatever. This is for like six months maybe. You know, I knew I was about to write for Rock the Bells, but I didn't, you know, couldn't really say anything. And then from there, man, you know, as I wrote stories, you know, they were well received. And it's just like, hey, we like you to write more. We like you to come and do, you know, work in a bigger capacity. So, you know, I can't really talk right now about some of the things I'll be doing, but I'll be doing some things in a bigger capacity for Rock the Bells. But I write for them quite a bit. So either, I'm not sure exactly what happened yet, but I think it was a combination of LL seeing it and definitely knowing who I was by that point, and then his people seeing it. And then 2 and 2 coming together. And then I'll say this too, man. And I don't want to put nobody out there, you know, really drop no names. But my man JP, who is the right-hand man to Herbie Lovebug. He's a big, you know, supporter of my work. And what's up to JP? He loves my work, and he works for Rock the Bells. He told them several times, "You got to get with this guy Jaquan." He didn't know I was already signed some paperwork for him. Then Crazy Legs likes my work from the Rocksteady crew. So Crazy Legs was telling them, "Hey, you got to get with Jaquan." So I think 4 or 5 different entities were telling Rock the Bells about me, and they knew about me anyway. So I think it's one of them things where my name came up so much that it happened. And honestly, that's a testament to, and not to be corny, get on a soapbox, it's a testament to 2 things: not giving up,
right,
and it's a testament to having to reinvent yourself. I mean, I'm an MC. I would love right now, you know, when I still got my equipment, I got my MP in here, and I make beats and stuff. I love to be putting some material out and rhyming right now. But I know that ain't the lane for me right now. Where hip hop is right now, I don't want to put no music out right now for where hip hop. I can still write, I can still make beats, and I'm still very confident in my abilities as an MC. I always have been. But that ain't what people want from me right now. The history needs to be corrected. I'm a person that people like how I tell stories. I've talked to most of the players, and so I've gotten respect in that lane. So that's where I am now. So like I said, two things, man: not giving up and reinventing yourself, and that's put me to where I am now. It's very surreal, like I said.
Same thing with me to an extent. I was producing hip hop, first priority music, radio, and then once the internet came along, same thing. And then once social media came along, that's why you see what you see now. Bravador Live. Still my love for radio and broadcasting. WQ Mix Worldwide Radio in the background. And stuff that I'm doing. And this piece right here, interviewing folk, and stuff. Yeah, I'm with you, man. And your track, I've known it because I've been right there, following you the whole time and keeping in touch with you and doing things. You and I doing some things together and all that. I will say this, and I have to remember certain things you cannot talk about, and I understand that because things are still in the works. But I will say this, that I'm looking forward to doing the things that we are planning on doing, when that time comes. I tell you, I was talking to, I believe it was Cricket I was talking to, DJ Cricket.
What's up, Cricket?
Yeah, and I got to shout out Cricket. Got to shout out Tim Casey. I got to shout out Vernon Dawson, Barry Smith, who's the Mad Mixer from my
Chris Rattery.
I got to shout out to my man Mad Mixer from the Junior Funk Machine, RJ, Fresh, Z-Rock Crew stuff. We're supposed to do at block parties. If you all are just checking out Bravador Live for the first time, and if you're anywhere in the vicinity of Central Virginia around the springtime, just keep in mind, once these numbers drop a little bit more, we're going to plan a reunion block party. And we do it in Glen Allen, Virginia, at Virginia Randolph Playground. So we're planning to do that again. We haven't done one in 3 years. We missed 1 year before the pandemic. Then when the pandemic kicked in, it knocked us out. So we're looking forward to this year doing one. And if anybody's around, come on out. It's free. We're going to have food vendors. We're going to have all kinds, even some book authors. We're going to have them out there setting up with tables so you can see what it is we do. And it's all outside and on the basketball court. We're going to have a ball. So please come out for that. WQ Mix Worldwide Radio, like I said, it's in the background. That's providing us the backdrop sounds for Bravador Live. My special guest is my good man, my brother, Jay Quan.
Yes, sir.
Formerly of the Two Deaf Crew. Well, not formerly, still the Two Deaf Crew. Still First Sons and all of that. Jay, I'm not going to get into asking that question because I've even had to change my way of thinking with the way music is today. I had to change my way of thinking, meaning that it's not going to be something, I'm speaking for me, it's not going to be something that I may understand all the time, but it is something that they are producing that feels good to them, no matter which way it is. But I will say, do not mistake a lot of the things that they're trying to call hip hop. That's not hip hop. That's something else. It's there, it exists, but it's not hip hop. That's what I'm saying for me. Okay. And that's not to knock them or anything that they say or anything that they do. But true hip hop is 2 turntables, a mic, graffiti, breakdancing, and knowledge. Did I miss one? I don't think I did.
It's good enough for me. I mean, people throw other stuff in there. They throw beatboxing in. They throw 7 or 8 elements. But you got what I grew up on.
Yeah, I mean, so I was DJing 41 years ago. This is 41 years for me this year, coming up in May. It's 41 years for me. 41 years for the Junior Funk Machine. We were DJing, and we first started DJing with cassette decks. That's what we did because we didn't have turntables. Then we got turntables. So I'm saying all that to say we've lived it. When people ask questions on these cats, now I'm gonna say this now. I have a lot of cats that I see out here that are doing these commentaries on the history of hip hop, and they get it all twisted up. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're getting it twisted up because you're not talking to the right people. You're not talking to the people that lived it. We lived it. Jay, we lived it. You know, we were there. We were at these concerts. We were there. You know, so you know that I just wanted to touch on that real quick and just say that. Hey, Eleanor, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And shout out to everybody that I see right here. My man, Big Rick, Nita, how you doing? Cricket, what's going on? Hey, JB Bryan, what's going on? My man, Roland Harris, what's going on? Hey, Joe, how you doing, Jovan? Great to see you. And everybody that's on here. I can't see everybody on here, but if you're on here, hey, just shout yourselves out, and I'll try to shout you out as best as I can. My guest is Jay Quan. This is Bravador Live, the new Bravador Live. This is how we're going to be coming at you from now on. It took us a while to get here, but we're here now. We're definitely here now. Jay, what is when you're writing your pieces and everything, what is that element that the base that you want to start from off of an artist? How do you get started? Because I mean, a lot of people write. Do you ever get writer's block? That's the second question.
No, I mean, you know, as an MC, I get writer's block a lot, but as a writer, you know, again, man, you know, and I'm saying this, you know me, you know my history, you know how much, you know, hip hop literally changed my life. You know, everything I was doing from playing pee-wee football to everything else. When I heard, you know, I'm sure Rapper's Delight was the first thing I heard. It wasn't King Tim that I heard first. If it was, I didn't pay no attention to it. You know, when I heard Rapper's Delight, and then 2 years later, when I heard Adventures on the Wheels of Steel, that was it. I knew that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. So you know how passionate I am about hip hop. So I don't really get writer's block as far as the stories, but because honestly, man, when I tell a story, a little bit of much of it is my life story, right? So I wrote an extensive piece on UTFO that I really wanted to put out when Kango was alive, because we had a probably 6-hour conversation. Right. And he just dropped jewels on me. And he told me several times, Jay, I never told nobody else this before. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then long story short, it was too much to write, too much to type up. And then the pandemic happened. So I said, hey, Kango, let's do a Zoom. And up until the time that he went into the hospital for the last time, we were still talking about doing that Zoom where he was going to, you know, retell all of those things. So when I was writing that UTFO story, you know, I'm writing that, man, that's my life story. I was, you know my story. I'm a Southsider who shared residence in the West End. My grandmother lived in the West End, and they used to bus us back then. So my grandmother lived right outside of the park. You know, you could literally throw a rock from the park to her house. So I grew up with Daryl Carpenter and, you know, all of those type people. I grew up on Grayling Avenue, you know, before my grandmother was on Meadow Street across from the park. And I know I'm talking a lot of stuff that only Richmond is talking about, but I got to let you know how intimate this stuff is. I was bused to Albert Hill from Southside. So I have a real stronghold in the West End. When Beats and Rhymes and Roxanne came out, I'm in middle school. So when I'm writing that story, it's really my life story. I never forgot those things. So, you know, the first time I heard Beats and Rhymes, it was a Stan Brooks. What's up, Stan Brooks? On Kiss 96. You know, on that, what was the name of that, the late show that they used to play? His hip hop show, some kind of, I forgot the name of it.
Okay, now which one? The one on Kiss or the one on Magic? The Magic was Club 99.
Right, and Stan Brooks, his was called something. I forgot what it was called.
He had Club 99, but then he had the one on, I forgot what the one on Kiss 96 was. I forgot.
The one on Kiss was the first time I heard Friends. It was the first time I heard a lot of records, but it was the first time I heard Beats and Rhymes and Roxanne. So, you know, to finally get to your question, I hate to be so long-winded, but sometimes it's not a short answer.
We got time. Look, we got all the time we need.
Yeah, sometimes it's not a short answer. These stories are my life stories. So one of the big stories I wrote, one of the more popular ones, I wrote a story on the 5% Nation. What's up, Freedom Born, my man, Emcee from MCI, Masters of Conversation. What's up, the Order Brothers in Masters of Conversation? I was writing a piece on the 5% Nation and the golden era of hip hop and how it connected and how we were saying all of these rhymes and stuff, and we didn't actually know necessarily what we were saying. So the way that story came up, it was exactly a year ago. They asked me, can you do something for Black History Month? So I wrote a pitch to write about the 5% Nation in hip hop. And, you know, it was really hard to get writer's block because that was a reality for us, you know, at that time. You know, I reached out to Just Ice. I reached out to Big Daddy Kane. I reached out to Raheem from the Furious Five. I reached out to Freedom Born. I just talked about Freedom Born was one of the first. Freedom Born and Everlasting from Emcee were two of the first 5%ers I ever met in my life. And when they taught these mathematics and stuff, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So when I'm writing that story, I don't really got to do no research because it's part of my life story. Almost every, I won't say almost every story I have is very personal and it's a life story. So the basis for those stories, to answer your question, is just recalling. And sometimes it's a story that's been in my head forever. Like, I wrote a story about the OJ cab service because when Rappers Delight came out and Big Bang Hank said, gonna get a fly girl, get some spank and drive off in a deaf OJ. I was like, what's an OJ? Then I heard him say it again in the song, can't fit them all inside my OJ. What is an OJ? So, I'm talking to Busy B and all these when they talk about how that was the cab service in New York. That's very much like what Uber is. And for the longest time, I knew I would write the OJ story. And when the time was right, I called all of those guys up. I called Dynamite, Furious 5, and Busy B, and all the New Yorkers that used to ride OJ. So yeah, man, these stories are my life stories, and the stories that I don't have enough on my own to recall because I'm not a New Yorker. And we can talk about that if you want. I'm not a New Yorker, but I do have a good enough memory and a good enough circle of friends in hip hop that I could call out and say, hey, look, I don't know what this is, Dynamite. Can you fill me in on an OJ? Hey, Busy B, tell me about the OJ. I even talked to Tiny from the Casanovas, notorious street gang in New York. Called Tiny up from the Casanovas. Tiny, what's up with the OJ? So that's where the stories come from, man. They're very personal stories, to me.
And see, you just said something. Number one, you lived it. Just like I said, we lived it. You lived it. Number two, you know who to call to get the right information. If it's something you don't know, which I can't imagine at this point, is nothing in the hip hop world that you don't know from back then, with all the work that you've done. But just like you said, you can pick up a phone and call somebody and get confirmation on stuff. You fact check. You fact check. You're not too proud to fact check. And then like you say, you're not from New York, you're from Richmond, Virginia. And you had some cats coming at you at one time saying, look, I know all this. He ain't from up here. I remember you and I talked about that.
Yeah, I've had it, not a lot, but I've had, a lot of people, would doubt because, just like Mad Skills, he named, Mad Skills, for VA representative, one of the first to do a major distributed, major label distributed project, rapper Virginia. His album was called From Where? And the reason why was because, people like, especially that time, from where, Virginia, even though we had already done independent stuff, we hadn't done anything on like Atlantic like he was doing. That's how I was approached by people. You from where? Like, I could see if he was from Philly or even, Connecticut or somewhere in the tri-state area, but you from Virginia and you talking to Flash and people and you call yourself a historian, which I never called myself a historian at the beginning.
I did.
Yeah.
I started calling you an historian because it's the truth.
And I never embraced it. I tell you when I embraced it, and you were there, and I'll make the story full circle. I'll talk about the Virginia part. But, I did a record with Melly Mel and Grandmaster Caz back in 2003. And we were in the studio. I don't know if Smooth is still on. We were at Smooth studio, Kick Up to the Curb. And I was showing Mel some of the, memorabilia I had. I brought it to the studio. And, me and Mel already had a really good, a friendship already. He knew, what I collected. He said, man, you like a hip hop museum. You the hip hop historian. And I was like, nah, I wouldn't say that. This is 2003. This is almost 20 years ago. I said, nah, I don't know about that. He's like, well, that's what you are. He said, you might not want to be that. He's like, but you collect information, you curate, and you give it back to the people. You're a historian. He said, whether you want to embrace it or not, that's what you are. And I'm like, well, damn, when Melly Mel tells you you're a historian, you're a historian. That puts a battery in your back. So
don't make no difference if I said it or anybody else, but when Melly Mel said it, oh yeah, that's just stamp right there.
Again, man, being humble really held me back for a long time. I was so humble that I don't want to call myself a historian. That's too, that's a little bragging. I was like, well, it started to take up so much of my time. I was like, well, shit, I don't know if we can cuss. Shoot, man, I am a historian. Like, this is what I do. This is what I do in my spare time. When I wasn't on my 9 to 5, my other waking hours, man, my kids will tell you when they was growing up, it would be nothing for me to be on the phone with one of the boogie boys. My phone was always ringing doing those interviews back in the in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I embraced the title historian. And that's what really made a lot of New Yorkers. They wouldn't always say it to me unless, like, I would get into it with somebody on Facebook or something. And I remember this one female, I'm not going to say her name, but she said, you an outsider. And I was like, oh, how so? You don't know nothing about this. You ain't even from up here. You ain't, you from Virginia. You from the South, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, why do I have to be from New York to be a historian? You weren't at the parties. You weren't old enough to get in, and you weren't here. And I said, well, if you look at the Civil War, there's Civil War historians. There's no way they could have fought in the Civil War, and they don't have to be from the place, places where it occurred. You could be, a historian, like Mel said. They take the history, they do their research, they qualify their research, and they give it back to the people. That's what I do. I don't have to be from New York to do it. I've never claimed to be from New York. My main claim is that I'm a collector of rap records, and I probably got most every rap record that came out from 79 to probably the early 90s. Like, that's my lane. I'll stick my chest out on, okay, I got that record. I know about that. I know what label that's on. Never claimed to be a New Yorker, but I have claimed to talk to Bambaataa, Hurt, Flash, Mel, Hollywood, and others in between. And not even that, in that era, Kane, Rakim. I've talked to the people who were there. And when you add in the fact that, remember, I'm an MC. I was writing rhymes since, my mother went to take me to get Curtis Blow the breaks, and I flipped it over on the instrumental and wrote my own little BS rhymes probably at the time. So when you take the fact that I know about MCing because I'm an MC and I've done the research, the fact that I'm not from New York is a non-factor. So many of the people who may have said something negative about that, once they saw my writings, I've had people actually say, hey, look, you all right, man. I gotta, they wouldn't apologize necessarily, but they would take back anything negative because they saw my work.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I remember, me being with First Priority years ago, and I would go to things like the New Music Seminar. I remember one year I went there. That was the year that Ice Cube was there and the whole melee started. They got to fighting. I didn't see the fight. I saw Ice Cube right before it. And again, I lived it. I was there. I remember that day. As a matter of fact, that day was the day after T-Roy died. He was on tour and he fell off a ledge or something. Yeah. And I saw T-Roy a couple weeks before that when they were here in Richmond. He rode in the back of my Mustang. I took them back to the hotel. Flav, T-Roy. Who else was it? I can't remember. It was Flav and T-Roy. They jumped in the back of my Mustang and I took them over to the hotel because they had just got in and they said they wanted to go ahead and get to the hotel because somebody was there getting their rooms, and I took them over there. I lived it. I was there. You lived it. And for someone to say that to you, obviously, because the information that you were spitting, they didn't say you were wrong. They just said, how can you say this and you from down south? Well, easily, you do your homework. You do your homework.
If I showed you the box of Jet magazines, honestly, man, I'm a Black history historian, really. I specialize in hip hop. But if I showed you the boxes of Jet magazines and Right On magazines and all the money I paid for historical stuff, to have the pictures for my documentaries and my mini documentaries, it's laughable. That's why I always let it roll off my back. Because when people say, you're not a hip hop historian, if you know how much hell my daughter gave me, because we got the relationship, we mess with each other. If you know the hell she gave me, you a hoarder, Dad, because she walks in my music room and she's like, you got more records. Even the last time she came home, you got more records since last time. She was like, yeah, I get records every week. That's what I do. Like, anybody who knows me knows. I mean, people who went to school with me, when I tell them what I do now, oh yeah, well, I figured you'd do something like that. You always was on the porch with the boombox. You was always writing rhymes. It was kind of inevitable. So I laugh at it because, I just keep doing the work. I tell you this, and this is not bragging. I'm not going to be humble about this. One of the proudest things for me, and this is because these were 3 or 4 of my favorite MCs. 3 or 4 cats told me the exact same thing. They said, keep doing what you're doing. Chuck D told me that. LL told me that. Melly Mel told me that. And last year in October, Rakim, I don't know if you can see it, I got a signed copy of Check Out My Melody There's a Kia Records version of it. When he signed my record, I don't even get autographs because selfies is the new autograph. But I had to get Rakim to sign the original President and Melody. And I told him, I said, hey man, I changed my whole rhyme style because of you. I threw a whole rhyme notebook away because of you. And he said, that mean a lot coming. He talked real low. That mean a lot coming from you, brother. And when he said that, I was like, wow. I said, oh, you seen some of the videos I did? He said, oh yeah, I seen them all. He was like, you keep doing what you're doing, man. You keep doing what you're doing. So
that's all the confirmation you need.
So, anybody saying anything, that's why even, if I rarely critique music that's out now, but the times that I do critique it, if it's a negative critique, they'll say, oh, you a hater. And I always laugh because it's like, how could I be a hater, man? When, I remember when Mo D, was on the tour for his first album and you walking me into the hotel room and me shaking Mo D's hand. I was a huge Treacherous 3 fan. I've shaken Rakim's hand, when the Week Paid in Full came out. How can I be a hater when I've been in the circumference of the best of them? Like how, I'm one of the biggest Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 fans ever, and I've had extensive conversations with each of them, except for Cowboy because I couldn't because he's not here. Even Ed Fletcher, Duke Booty. I've talked to that, I've sat down in front of him and gotten a story about how could I be a hater? Like my whole childhood, I've been able to confirm the music that I grew up on. Talk to Tila Rock about Is Yours. So, I'm very comfortable with where I am. Somebody saying I'm from Virginia, so I can't be a historian. It gets more funny the more people say it.
And they don't realize when they make those comments that states like Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, DC, DMV area, whatever you want to say, the Mid-Atlantic and South, it was not for us, there would be no success. You can be successful. Now, I'll say you can be successful in the New York tri-state area, Connecticut, Jersey, all that, even Philly and up in that area. You can be successful there. But if you really, I remember it's just what Run DMC said. You need to go down south. You need to shut your mouth and see what's going on. That means because people down here supported it so strong. And I haven't even already gotten to the Midwest and the West Coast. I didn't even get to that yet. So I'm just saying it, there was another artist that I ran into years ago. I won't call her name, but it was a she. She told me you cannot make it in hip hop living down here in Virginia. Look what happened.
Yeah, there was a time when it was some truth.
She said Virginia and down south. She said it both. The South blew up eventually. Virginia has their artists. Like you said, had Skills, D'Angelo, which that's R&B. You had the Nappy Roots. You had the
Boogie
Monsters. Then 757 crew. Come on, man.
Yeah, Missy and Pharrell and all them. Yeah, right. Clips. So yeah, man. Like I said, it's laughable, man. I don't have to prove that I respect, any region or whatever. I mean, my proof was, like I said, man, buying that music every week that every couple of weeks when a new rap record would come in. Yeah, I would stay in those, like I said, especially album day, because it was one up the street from me. Phono booth, riding my bike up there. What new rap records you got? Putting down, a few dollars on some rap records. I really put my time in. I pay, and that because I mean, for every time some new technology came out, we was right there. I mean, I tell people all the time, you were one of the first people, not one of, streaming like radio. The funny thing, you were too early for that. You were so early streamer. You had a server and all of that. You were so early with the streaming radio because I had a radio show on your station.
Right.
And I remember because my daughter used to do drops for it, and she was a baby because you say you going back with Jaquan, my daddy, and she'd been out of college for 4 or 5 years, so that was a long time ago.
You still got the recordings of that, right?
People had to catch up. So
you still got the recordings of that, right?
I still got the CDs of it. Yeah, I got.
Man, I like to play that on the station.
I gotta digitize those, man. It's so funny hearing them say you going way back with my daddy, but. Yeah, man. So, we don't have to prove anything, man. I can go right now, and this is to give you your props. I always do that. I can go right now and look at the liner notes of "It Takes a Nation of Millions," and you have special thanks on that. you know, and none of us pat ourselves on our backs because that's just not the kind of people we are. But
Right.
Your relationship with Chuck, not many people know, and you need to put this somewhere in a book or in a documentary somewhere. And I won't get too much into it, but when they were making Rubber Without a Pause and how Virginia, especially you, played into that. When Terror Dome came out and they had to get rid of Griff, the time you spent with Chuck during that time, he would have never said, well, no, I can't go down there. That's Virginia. I got to go up top. It just don't make sense. And the last Virginia thing I'll say is, I'll quote our brother Chris Brooks because I love it when he says it. You could call us the South, but he always says we're the northernmost southern city, which we are. And, we're the mid-Atlantic. So what people don't realize is, I'll never forget this. I got to tell this Richmond story real quick. I wish Jay Lang was watching. When LL, before he got big, when I Need a Beat was out, he came down here for a show. Radio hadn't dropped, Crush Groove, so nobody really knew who LL was. Run DMC was a thing at that time. And he was being interviewed on Magic 99. And he was saying, I think he was just about to make Dangerous. And he said, my first record was I Need a Beat. That probably didn't get down here. And when he said it, I was like, didn't get down here. Like, if it came out in New York on a Tuesday, we had it Wednesday. Like, we had all the rap records, that were released in New York. When he said it, I was like, well, where does he think we are? And, we didn't get I Need a Beat. And I was waiting for Jay Lang to correct him. And I'm yelling at the radio, tell him we got it, because they used to play it on Magic. So, it's always been funny to me, the perception that we're behind in some kind of way.
I just sent Jay Lang a message and said, we're doing a live streaming right now and we're talking about you.
You got to hook me up with him, because there's a couple of Jay Lang stories I got. One of them I had told him before. But hey man, those, not to switch subjects too much, but those radio guys, and again, I want to give your brother props. Like the Chocolate Chips, man, and Jay Lang's. Growing up in those days when radio really was the one that dictated everything, your brother was like a hero, man. Every morning before I went out to school, I knew what time to go out to the school bus because of what was, whether it was the weather or them giving the lunch menu for that day. I would hear your brother on WANT. Those guys, man, were real radio personalities back then. And, I got the fondest memories of those times coming up. So, yeah, I got a few Jay Lang stories that I love to sit down with him one day and communicate to him.
He just he just responded back and he threw me a thumbs up. So he must be busy.
Yeah, Jay was cool, man. Jay was the coolest.
I'm going to see, can you.
Is this recording? Are you recording?
No, this is live.
Right, but is it recording?
It's recording too. Yeah, yes. At least I think it. Yeah, it is. Everybody, y'all got to excuse me to answer that question. This is new, what I'm working with right now. So, but I'm sure I hit record on.
Yeah, you're archiving it, right?
Yeah, I'm almost sure I did. Hold on, I'm writing it. Can you join us real quick? Yeah, I can't even spell. Real, dude, really? Real quick. He's gonna probably say, no, I know. Jay does a lot of the jazz shows down in Norfolk now and whatnot. As a matter of fact, Bob James is coming soon, and I'm going down there because I'm going to meet Bob James. Chris Brooks met Bob James.
I remember, yeah.
And Bob,
he love to talk about.
Right, he was saying Bob James. He asked him that question about how does hip hop play in his career. He said, if it was not for hip hop, I wouldn't be who I am right now.
That's very true.
He gave so much props, and I shared a picture with Bob James and Slick Rick. They were somewhere, and Bob James.
Yeah, they were at the Blue Note. They were the Blue Note in New York.
The Blue Note, and Bob James had on the
that was Slick Rick's chain. Yeah,
his chain, and that picture right there will go down in history.
He had on a Wu-Tang. He had on a Wu-Tang hoodie too. That's crazy.
That's right, he did. I see what I mean, man. Look, that's why I tell people, and that's why I do the station that I do, Jay, and you know it. Because a lot of the music that those two individuals in that picture, it's not played unless you listen to Spotify and all those things, and that's fine, but that's for purchasing too. And I'm glad that's out because that helps the artists get paid for their works.
Right.
I think it's great. I think it's a new way for them to be able to get paid and get a check. I think that's great. But to hear it the way that we used to hear it on a radio station, the way that we used to listen to. That's why I created what I created, WQXY
I understand.
Radio.
I understand.
That's why I did that, because I got the drops with Jay Carneal doing my drops. He's the voice of the station. I have that going on.
Another radio legend. He has the best voice. I mean, his voice is made for radio.
Oh my gosh, you know, and you know, being trained by my brother, Chocolate Chip, you know, I can't say enough about guys like Kirby Carmichael, Chocolate Chip, King Crandall, Ben Miles, Jim Minor, may he rest in peace, from
Legends,
the West End. You know, come on, man. I mean, and like you said, Jay Lang, we're talking about, you know, and stuff. Let me see if he he didn't respond back. Okay, he must be busy.
He probably busy, man. But
yeah, at the drop of a dime, he probably can't do that. You
know, I remember he put up some pictures on his social media years ago, like, you know, because every show that came in, he was like emceeing the shows at the Coliseum. And, you know, when Midnight Star was at their pinnacle, when they had done Freakazoid, you know, him and Midnight Star, you know, backstage and all that, it's just like, wow, to be a fly on the wall, man.
Yeah, I mean, Trussell, you know, Bill McGee and the Boogie Doctor and all of them, you know, Love Injection. That was a big record, man.
It was. They played it on Soul Train.
Man, look, I saw that clip. And then, you know, to be up in New York and they playing them in the clubs, Larry Levon used it, and they had the tribute to Larry Levon, and that was one of the songs in the compilation.
Yep.
You know, I mean, come on, man. I mean, look, I'm so glad that we're able to do this like we're doing it right now, you know, and everything, because of that way you don't have to, you know, like Jay is on one side of town, I'm way on the other side of the state almost. So I'm just saying, we're able to do it this way. I'm looking forward to possibly doing something like this again, Jay, if we can. You know,
whenever you're ready, man, just let me know.
I think a little bit more often we can do it, because maybe it's this that we're talking about may educate some people that don't know.
Right.
And it's fine if you don't know. It really is okay if you don't know. But my thing is that, you know, just make sure that you ask the question, or if you're not going to ask the question, or if you don't know, you know, at least seek the knowledge out, you know, and guys like myself and Jay, more so Jay, you know, you can learn a lot as far as when you're getting into this hip hop thing, you know, and that's the bottom line, man. It's just, you know, just knowing the right information is very important. It's very important. And for us to give it out like that, I think it's real important. What are you looking at for the future, Jay? I know some of it, but some that you can talk about. What are you looking for? Because, by the way, and I'm gonna say this, Jay, I'm gonna put you on display a little bit now in a good way.
Sure.
Jay and I had a conversation. I was approached a couple of years ago about somebody wanting to do my life story. This person I never met before. They asked, you know, what did I think about it? I said, I think eventually. And they said, well, I'd like to do it. Well, number one, you don't know me. You don't really know who to talk to. And then I ran it by Jay. I said, well, Jay, I'd like for you to do it. And Jay said he would. So I guess that still stands, right? I don't mean to put you on.
Of course. No, that's not putting me on the spot, man. Of course it still stands.
So eventually when things calm down, and we start rolling on some stuff, maybe in the future sometime, you know, Jay, I'll give you a list of people to talk to, or if you could just pick people off my Facebook page and send them messages, that'd be good enough, because people that are on my page, a lot of them I've asked to link with them, but a lot of them have asked to link with me from listening to me and following me over the years and what I've done. So, you know, I that would be something that would bring full circle to me, you know, whenever that time comes to do it.
Oh, definitely. Full circle to me as well.
But what are some of your future plans, man?
Well, you know, I enjoy writing, and I really like what I'm doing now, writing. But you know, I enjoy the narrating and the documentary filmmaking part of it. You know, on my my Facebook profile, you know, for my occupation and all that. You know, I say that I'm a occasional MC and producer, because I am. You know, I mean, I make beats, and like I said, I write rhymes, and I got some good stuff, but it's just not time for me to do anything with it, if there ever will be time. But I do like to tell stories. You know, I'm not a cameraman, but I like to tell stories and put my own visual to it. So, like, as you know, I just took it upon myself. I said, look, me and Divine, we would and Scratch Master D, we were the Two Death Crew. We made some noise. We were the First Sons. Me and Divine, we made some noise. There's a lot people don't know about those times. So I just said, hey man, I got a camera, and I just started shooting me and Divine, and I was learning and just getting better, trial and error. Oh man, the sound is as important as the as the picture. I got to get me some some lavalier microphones, and so just trial and error. So just doing that. I love the documentary filmmaking part of it, writing stories, and because I can't say too much, and not because of contractual stuff all of the time. I am. I'm not superstitious, but I don't believe in talking about stuff before the ink is dry. I'm not a person that will ever get on Facebook and say big things about to happen, blah blah blah, and then when it don't happen, you look like the guy that is always lying about something. So once the ink is dry, then I'll say, hey, boom, this happened, because I know it's happening because it's done already. But there are some cats who are deserving of their stories being told, and I've sat down with them and I've secured their stories, and we're going to do some things, the things that are in the vein of what me and you have done. And like I said, we were in there, we was doing it, right before this pandemic hit, and put the brakes on all of it. So
man,
I think
that was good stuff, man.
It's ironic, man. Cat said the other day on Facebook, he said he read, I think, my UTFO story. He said, man, all your commentaries are good, but you're a visionary, Cat, man. You need to get into filmmaking and blah blah blah. And I told him, I said, thank you, brother, and point taken. So I like to go in that direction, hearing these stories, man. Because one thing, I can be watching something, and and I won't name any things, but I'll see somebody interviewing somebody, and I'll be like, oh, you didn't ask them this. You sitting in front of Red Alert, you sitting in front of this person. Why didn't you ask this question? And it's like, because some questions, if you know how to interview, they unlock 5 or 6 other things that the person would have told you, but you have to ask the right thing. So I love writing in the capacity I do now, but I want to do it more in in script writing and stuff like that. So
and you have the art for that. You have the art for that. It reminds me of what I did with Hip Hop Legends and Soul R&B Radio Legends. Same thing. You ask those right questions. That's why you have so much that you couldn't put in the documentary that you got. If you're good at what you're doing and you shoot that first documentary, you have enough for part 2 and maybe 3.
Definitely. It's all about asking the right question. I won't name a name on this, but I tell you what really cemented the friendship with me and Kango Kid. I've been playing phone tag with Kango Kid for a year. I told him, I said, look, I've talked to everybody in the group except you. I talked to EMD, Mixmaster Ice, me and Dr. Ice had several conversations. Some of them you got on film.
Right.
And I said, I even talked to the cast from Whistle. I was like, you're the only one holding out. Come on, man. I was messing with him. This was long before he knew that he got his diagnosis that he was sick. And he said, we're going to talk, man. We're going to talk. So he was on a show, and I won't say what show it was, but they were interviewing him. And everybody's always wondered, where did the drums come from on Roxanne? And he telling the guy, yeah, man, Howie T sampled Big Beat, then he chopped the beats up and he replayed them. And I'm like, wait a minute, that was 84. So like our sampling timeline, that throws our whole sampling timeline off of what we thought. So we got to add Howie T's name in there. And if Howie T is watching, get with me, bro. I'm trying to reach out to Howie T. I got some people, getting to him. But Howie T, his name is in there with Marley chopping up samples early. I don't care who did it first. I'm not who did it first. They were doing it at the same time. And when you listen to Roxanne, they wasn't backspinning Big Beat. Howie T took Big Beat by Billy Squire. He chopped and isolated those drums in 84 and played Big Beat manually back when EMD did his verse over. So when Kango Kid's telling the interviewer that, the interviewer skips on to the next question. And I'm like, you're not going to ask him, wait a minute, Howie T did this in 84. You're not going to ask him what sampler he did it on. It was a million questions you could have asked about that. So again, me being an MC and producer and DJ, when I'm talking to a DJ or MC, I know what questions to ask.
Right.
Because like you said, we lived it. So it's about the right person interviewing somebody. And I think that's something that I think that's a gift that I have. That's what people have said. People like my writing and my storytelling. So I want to give much more than that.
I'll say this. I liked your interview with Just Ice. I think that's my favorite one.
That was challenging, bro. You know, that was challenging.
That was my favorite, though, Jay. I'm sorry. Jay, I love that interview. I don't know why.
That was one of the reasons I stopped doing live interviews. I love the spontaneity of live videos, and I love the challenge of. Let me tell this, and I'll bring it all together. I was listening to I still got the interview from. I got a lot of WKIE good footage or audio, and you were interviewing me and Divine. We were so young back then. It was our first time really having an interview. And man, I know you were probably cursing us out of your head because you would ask us a question, and every question we were like, yeah, It was all one word.
I didn't curse you. I was just like, okay, brothers, loosen up. Come on.
But for you, I know it's probably like, wow, man, you're killing me here because you're trying to get something out of us. And again, we were just listening to it now.
Man. It was new. It was new for you.
It was new. It was new. So that was a crazy situation, man. So it's really funny to listen to that now, 30, 40 years later. So I like the challenge of the live thing where anything can happen and somebody cannot answer something. I interviewed the Crash Crew, all of them, the whole force of the 5 MC. I had all 5 of them there live. Anything could have happened. And I love the pressure of having to keep it going when you ask somebody something and they don't, they whatever. When I interviewed the Fearless 4, everybody except Tito, the pressure of that. So with Just Ice, I know Just Ice he's everything you heard about Just Ice, everything you've seen about him, he's that times 10. I just did an interview with Doc Rodriguez, and he told me some crazy power play stories. And I'll give it away because I didn't put it in the story that's coming up on Rock the Bells. He told me a story about Just Ice putting some money in the Coke machine, and the Coke machine not giving him his money, and he just assaults the Coke machine.
I'm about to say he beat it up, didn't he? Beat up the Coke machine.
Just Ice is a wild dude, but I didn't know that he would be how he was when we got on camera. So before we started, I was like, oh man, Just might give me a problem tonight.
Well, he's a hip hop gangster. He was one of the original hip hop gangsters, him and Schoolie D,
Well, he told me 2 things, and I definitely won't talk about him. He told me 2 things not to ask him because I had a relationship with I interviewed Just Ice with my written stuff probably 15 years ago with me and Troy Smith. What's up, Troy Smith? When we was rolling together, we interviewed him for written stuff. So he remembered me. And before we got on, he said, Jaquan, let me tell you, man, it's 2 things I don't want you to ask me. If you ask me, I'm into the interview. And he told me the 2 things. And I said, well, you wouldn't have to worry about that. I wouldn't have done that anyway. But that won't even, that wouldn't even, that was nothing because just the condition, the spirit he was in that night, it was a real challenge, man. So I stopped doing live after that. I said, you know what? I need to record these and edit them later. And that one, it was, when I went back to try to edit it, it was very hard to edit that video because
I'm sorry. You look, to me, I'll take it as it is. That was to me, that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites that you've done. Tim Casey also wanted to shout you out and tell you good job on the Force MD's story that you did.
Tim Casey, that's my man. I don't always get a chance to respond on his stuff, man. But Tim Casey, that's an old school cat, man. Sometimes his posts will just bring me back. Like he'll put up a picture of the old farm fresh on,
I wish I could get him
on the Burnham Avenue or the old.
I wish I could get him on here. I wish I could get him on here right now and bring him on. But I know he's gone now.
Yeah.
I wish I could. We'd be here all night.
Yeah. Tim Casey. Yeah. What's up, Tim?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'll ask him. Maybe the next one we do together, we'll include him as well. Because I can have 4 or 5 different people here along at the same time. So that would be kind of hot.
Yeah, man.
This is Bravador Live, everybody. And my guest has been Jaquan, my brother I've known for so many years. He's done phenomenal things, continues to do phenomenal things. Check his pieces out on Rock the Bells. That's right. LL Cool J's Rock the Bells on the website. Check it out. I know some good future things are going to be happening for you, Jay. Now, Jay, you do something not on my station, but you do it on another station where you do stuff with break beats and things of that nature. Go ahead and plug that, man.
Yeah, Universal Rhythms. You go to Universal Rhythms. I think it's universalrhythms.net. I do a show on there. It's one Saturday every month. In fact, tomorrow it's a 2-hour show, and it will be not premiering. It'll be coming on at it'll be airing at 11 a.m. East Coast time tomorrow. It's a 2-hour show. And I play break beats. A lot of times I play the music that inspired rap music. So there's a lot of break beats. I'm not always cutting up the break beats. Sometimes I'm just playing them in their entirety. And sometimes I'm just playing rap music. This one was supposed to be a Black History special that I was doing. So it was some Public Enemy and X-Clan and stuff like that. But it's just a lot of classic hip hop in it.
Good stuff. Like you tell me, good stuff. Also, everybody, Alvin Folks. Remember that name, Alvin Folks. Alvin Folks will be having a show on WQ Mix Worldwide Radio. Those of you that just logged in, this is WQ Mix Worldwide Radio in the background. This is the station you can hear 24/7, 365 days a year. Alvin Folks will be bringing his show on. We will try to premiere it this weekend. I just got the show from him. It's very good. Jay, you check out Alvin Folks when you hear him. I'll let you know. I
definitely will.
Alvin has real good insight about life, period. He is a great guy. I
definitely will. And I still like to do something on WQ Mix if the offer is still out there.
The door is open. Brother, you ain't even got to ask. If you send me something, say, hey, man, I sent you a show. It's on. Like that.
I love to put something together. And I thought about you recently. I was in the record store. I was in Plan 9 and I saw an album by Change. It was a Japanese press. You know how it has the OBI strip on the side with the Japanese writing? Right. I forgot which album it was. Didn't Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis produce the Change album?
Well, they did a couple of them. Fred Petrus was their producer, and there's a story about Fred Petrus that I've actually compiled over the years about him. Fred Petrus was Jacques Fred Petrus. He was a guy that was looking to get the chic sound. He wanted to emulate the chic sound.
I remember you telling me this.
What he ended up doing was creating his own sound, which is Change, High Fashion, the Ritchie Family, BB&Q, which my cousin Paris Ford was a part of.
What's up, Paris Ford?
Pee-wee. Matter of fact, if you're watching this, Pee-wee, I got to send you that song of yours on Streetwise that you needed also. He had a song on Streetwise years ago. I know you know, Jay.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I've forgotten about it. I talked to Arthur Baker last month, and I was talking about Soul Makusa by Nairobi and the Awesome Foursome, and he said that Pee-wee played on it. And I'm like, wow. And I forgot that he had a solo joint on there. But yeah, that electro record, Awesome, the Foursome with Rocky.
Right.
That was Pee-wee played on that, live bass on that.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff we play on WQ Mix is requests, not just stuff that I remember, but it's actually requests. I get requests from as far as even Russia. Dope. People send me an inbox, say, hey, can you play this? Japan, the Netherlands, especially the Netherlands is really, they're deep.
I don't know what it is about the Netherlands, man. Every time I put out a project, and I haven't put out a project in a long time, but most of the sales come from like Helsinki, Finland, and the Netherlands and stuff like that. I don't sell but 20 records when I put something up. I go copper when I release something, but most of the copper that I sell is in the Netherlands. I don't know what it is about that region. They really respect the music.
They do, definitely. I'll tell you this. I'm gonna say this, Jay, and then I guess we'll get ready to end this. We've been here for almost an hour and a half, but time flies by when we're doing this stuff, and that's why I love doing it, man. I would like to see, and I met when I went out to LA to do some filming, as you know, and a lot of you all know here. I talked to Muffler and Daryl Pierce of the LA Posse, and I learned so much about Uncle Jam's Army. What they were doing on K-Day out there.
Yes.
Greg Mack and what he's been doing on K-Day. I know you've been in touch with Greg Mack.
Yes.
I would like to see if I can get them on here one day to talk a little bit about it. But I would like for you and me to go to LA and we film them, just to have it, for something.
Say the word, man. I know Greg Mack's got a doc coming out on K-Day. Last time I talked to him, he's talking about that. But yeah, man, I'd love to sit down with those brothers. I did a piece about the early West Coast rap records, and I talked extensively about Uncle Jam's Army and the brother that started Uncle Jam's Army. His name escapes me. I don't know why I can't think his name. Roger Clayton.
Okay.
Roger Clayton's son saw it and he loved it. And he actually sent me a Facebook request and thank you for doing this, this mini doc on them. And I talking Egyptian Love and those guys. So yeah, we definitely could do that, man. I love that history. Those records were really big here too.
It's funny. We were talking about, the things that we're doing. I mean, I didn't touch on the fact that we're doing CVA 360, the show that we're going to be doing. That's going to be on TV and on Facebook and YouTube, because we are streaming on YouTube and Facebook at the same time.
Yes.
Chris Brooks just hit me and he was ringing and I was trying to grab him, but I said, no, let me do it. And I said, I'm on live with Jay Quan. I'm going to try to see before we go off if I can pull him in, but he has not responded back yet.
What's up, Brooks?
Yeah. Chris Brooks, what's up, man? If you still watching us, man, let me know if you want me to chime you in. I can pull you in if you're on your phone. There's no problem. Technology is a beast, man. I mean, it's a beast.
I mean, everything we watched everything we watch coming up, man, is real now. I know you're a big Trekkie, man. A lot of the stuff we was watching on the shows, man, is real now.
I mean, really, it is. He just hit me back. He said, gotcha. I said, I can try to pull you in. He might be at work. Let me see. Are you at the gig? Let's see what he says. If he's at work, I know he can't do it. But yeah, man, I mean, it's amazing how I grew up watching Lost in Space, Star Trek, Space 1999, all those shows. And technology has leaped. Only thing missing, we're not going to other planets yet. And I think we're late on that. I really believe that. I look at SpaceX and Elon Musk and all of that, and all the things that they're doing. And of course, a lot of people saying, well, you don't need to spend money on that. You need to spend money. You got people homeless here in this world. You're right. I agree. But I do believe to an extent, if we can go ahead and grasp, traveling, at least to Mars, and in my lifetime, if we can do that and get things going with that, then maybe we can, do something about this hunger. I mean, we really can do something about it now. Let's be real. We can.
Man, if they do the right thing with it. Have you seen Don't Look Up yet?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, when you get a chance, check it out, man. It's a lot of it's supposed to be like a dark comedy with a lot of good messages in there. But they did the right thing with it, man. They were to do some traveling and did the right thing, as opposed to trying to go up there and get some something that they could profit off of. It would be a great thing. But the history of how things are done sometimes.
Right. Hold on one second. He said he's at home. I'm sending you the link through Messenger. Hold on one second, Jay. And then once he gets on, we'll end it and everything. But I'd like to pull him in to see what we can do with that.
Yeah, take your time, man.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and invite him real quick. Hold on one second, Jay. And I can't see you because the screen is gone to whatever. And they said it'd be good if you can have two screens, but I'll get to that too, I guess, eventually. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, here it is. Okay, where is it? Hold on. Got him. Oh, that's the other one. Don't go to that page. All right, boom. All right, I just sent that to him, so we'll see if he can chime in.
Yeah, while we waiting for that, man. Yes, I was telling you about the Change albums. I bought it. It was kind of expensive, and I had it already, but it was. You know how collectors are. It was a Japanese pressing, so I had to buy it. It was the same record, same music.
Right. Yeah. I've got a lot of change behind me, CD wise, because I bought the CD so I can rip them in the broadcaster to play them. Matter of fact, I bought my first wax. I ordered Herbie's Machine. I saw it on eBay. I bought two of them. A Herbie's Machine from that Herbie did with Got Attitude from Antoinette on it and everything.
Right.
I got that, and that's the first wax I've bought in a long time. But mostly, a lot of the stuff I buy is CD so I can rip it in the broadcast. But I got a lot of change, man. I got tons of.
That's
change.
why I brought it up, because every time I listen to your station, I hear, not that you're playing it too much. You like change, and I love change myself. There was another record too. It was another import I bought, and it was a song you play all the time by Chic. I think it's what's the Chic song that you did?
I get a lot of requests for My Feet Keep Dancing.
It's one that didn't play a lot. Soup for Two. Where was it? Something for
Soup
Two.
for One.
Soup for One.
Soup for One from the movie Soup from One.
You know, it's funny. I really wasn't up on that song, like talking about it. So you used to play it all the time. I knew I heard it before, but I saw import 12 into that, and I bought that just because it was there. But yeah, man, that's good. You play some. It's funny. You play groups that are popular, but you don't play. A lot of times, you play the album cut, or you know, the cut that wasn't a single that everybody knows, and I like that. I miss that about radio.
That's why I do what I. That's why I did what I
did.
I
caught that. Jay. Believe me, I caught that.
Yeah, that's why I do it, Jay, because that's what's missing. That's what's missing. So what would be the use of me doing a station?
And you play with everybody else.
Like everybody else. You know, like my man Lorenzo Ice-T. He's got his internet station. I'm not doing the same thing he does. I'm doing my thing totally. He even said it to me. He said, "Bruv, I want to help you, you know, because you and I are not in competition with each other because you're doing something totally different from what I do." You know, somebody asked me, one of the DJs that used to DJ on the air years ago, I won't call his name, but he asked me, he said, you're going to play any of the new hits? I'm like, no. He said, you're not going to play any of them? Like,
you can hear them anywhere.
So why would anybody want to listen to me to hear something they can hear somewhere else and they know where they can hear it from? No, I give them a reason to come here. You know, like right now, that's Vesta, once bitten, twice shy, her first one.
I remember that.
KIE, we used to pump this song. Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis produced this one.
Yeah.
I'd be a fool not to play a song like this.
Yeah.
Because that's why people come to the station.
People forgot about Vesta too, man. People forgot about Vesta. Vesta was in there for a minute.
Right. And Chris just sent me a message. I think he's not understanding what I meant. It may be a time delay off on your page, but I'm here. No, he doesn't understand. I'm trying to bring him on the show and stuff. Chris, if you're listening, Chris, the link that I sent you, you can come on the show with Jay and I on your phone. That's simple. All you have to do is click on that link. You click on that link.
You talking slow. You talking slow for him.
Oh, well,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Like, I know some of the technology sometimes, Chris be like, man, what you talking about, bro?
Right, right.
And stuff. So, like my brother, if I was to get chocolate chip on here, I'd have to show him exactly how to do it. Some people just are not with it right now. And it's fine, but
I understand.
Hey, Chris, if you hit that link in your messenger, you'll come right up and I can bring you on. It's that simple. Just use your phone camera. That's all you got to do. And what is this? Who is this? Now everybody's hitting me. Oh, John Kilby wants to come on.
John Kilby.
I
got a picture of me and John in Ivory's probably 1991. We both looking crazy.
well, first of all, John, you got to be on Facebook, and it looks like you're on. Oh, you're on Facebook.
Why they wait till we've been on for an hour and a half to try?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna send him an invite just to do it. Why not have?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Why not have a little fun? Because John is my man. So I'm gonna see if I can get him on here real quick.
Yeah, I remember John interviewing us when he was with on UR. What was it called?
UR House Party. Mike Street.
Yeah, what was the call numbers for UR? It was
WDCE.
WDCE, yeah. Yeah, he was. I remember him DJing up there, and we were the first sons. I think I recorded the interview. I got it somewhere.
Now knowing John, he'll jump right on. John will jump right on.
Yeah.
And stuff. But Chris, if you're there, man, just click the link in the messenger, and it'll open up your phone, and then you can just come right on, man. You can walk down the street and you be on the show with us.
If you gotta have Chrome and some more stuff. The first time somebody had the software you're using, I couldn't get on my phone. I had to get on a laptop, and I had to find out later. You got to go in Chrome, and for some phones, you got to go in Chrome and turn stuff on and turn it off and all of that. So it depends on the settings on his phone.
Yeah, and like you said, he might not even want to deal with that too much tonight and everything. But it's WQ Mix Worldwide Radio in the background, everybody. In the background, it is Grover Washington and Mr. Magic. Rest in peace, Mr. Magic. This song wasn't about Mr. Magic, but still, it's appropriate. On WQ Mix Worldwide Radio, Bravador Live right now. We've been on for about an hour and a half, everybody, with my man Jay Quan. We're just kicking it around and just...
Yeah, it's a rainy Friday night, man.
Yeah, rainy Friday night. And I want to thank everybody it's been hanging with us. We got a lot of people hanging with us, Jay, and I really appreciate it. And I just sent that to John, but I don't know if he got it or not. But
yeah, if he didn't, man, like I said, whenever, you know, we can do this whenever, man. This is easy to do, man. So it's you know, we need to bring
absolutely, man.
Yeah, we need to bring them cats in another time or whatever. That's, you know, that's always an option, man. But definitely. Yeah, oh, you were asking, you know, just as we wait for them to answer, if they're going to answer, you're asking me what else was next for me. Another thing.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I didn't mean to jump off topic.
No, you didn't. You did. We were done with that, but I just thought about, you know, more of the question you asked me about what I had to do what I wanted to do in the future. And one of the things is definitely speaking at colleges. You know, I've done some stuff at VCU here. I've done some virtual stuff in other places. I talked to a sister yesterday. I won't say her name because we haven't solidified things, but you know, I might get a chance to go to Southern Cal and do something. I know my man Davey D Cook. What's up, West Coast Davey D? I call him. He wants me to come over to, I forgot what school he's at, but he's somewhere in Cali. Because he uses a lot of colleges for their syllabus. They use stuff from my lessons that I do on YouTube. Right. DJ Soul Sister, what's up, DJ Soul Sister? She's in Louisiana, and I know she teaches from some of my stuff. So I'm really getting into trying to write curriculum and do more teaching. That's one thing I like to do this year. So that kind of stuff, man. You know, and it's I'm a lot closer to it than I've been, you know, before. You know, it'll happen. It's definitely within my grasp to do so.
I see Chris is here, but it's saying that he needs to have his mic on. Let me see if I can bring him in. No, it won't let me add him. It's saying his mic is off. They would need to connect their mic cam before you can add them to the stream. So, yeah,
he might be getting the error message I used to get. Right. You might have to turn some setting on or give some kind of permission or something on his phone.
And does the phone ever ask? John Kilby is here. So let's grab John and see what. Hey, my man, there he is.
What up, Kilby, my man?
Oh my God, man. What's going on, man?
I'm good. How you doing, bro?
This is the new medium of what we're doing now, bro. So just letting you know, we're going to be doing more of this. How you been, man? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, man. I'm good, man. I can't complain. I cannot complain, man. You know, I don't know if you remember, Jaquan, but I was the first to play your record and the first to give you an interview. Do you remember, Jaquan?
I remember you interviewing us on WDC. I was just celebrating about that.
We were the first to play that.
I got it somewhere on the tape. I recorded it. I got it somewhere on the tape. I remember that.
Shout out to Ron. Me and Ron went to college together. And he said, I got these two dudes. I'm putting this tape out from Southside. He knew I was on the radio, and Ron, cool dude. I still run into Ron. So not ran into Ron about 3 years ago.
Yep.
And Ron said, I got these. Huh?
Yeah, he financed that record. That's what we was doing the First Son stuff. And you interviewed me and Divine. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, and Ron was like, yo, I need you to pull him on. I said, Ron, say no more. I got you. Be up there on Saturday. I got
you. Yep. I remember
that. Yeah. See? That was all love back then, man. And I think more so than anything, that type of love should have been going on all along instead of this crab in the barrel thing that we had going on at one time, man. Mm-hmm. It was certain people who did not want to see other people achieve, man. But my thing was, why hate?
Right. Yeah. Right. When we were all together last time, we talked about that. When Brad was shooting us for something, we were all together a couple years ago. And you were telling me some of the opportunities I won't get into all that, but you were telling me some of the opportunities you could have had that you didn't get because of that crab in the barrel thing. And you enlightened me to some stuff with that, man.
Yeah. And I you know what? One of the things that I noticed is that you rarely get to meet people that love the history of this music that we call hip hop, man. And with me, and you know, when I talk to my partner, the DJ Earl Baskerville, E1, when I talk to him,
shout out to Earl,
and he asked me, he's like, man, why are you able to remember all this stuff, man, that some people can't even talk about it? I was like, it's one dude that can talk about it. Jaquan can talk about it, you know, and you rarely get to meet people. And I remember, like I said, you corrected me on something, and most time people will get angry when they're corrected. When I foolishly said that it was Willie Tyler and Lester that opened up the Sugar Hill Gang at the Richmond Coliseum, when actually it was a guy who was a tranquiloquist that was signed to Sugar Hill Records with that dummy.
I heard when you said that, because you were talking about Big Bang Hank's shoe coming off and all that, but
Big
Bang Hank lost his shoe on stage. I remember that. That was in the first trailer.
I just saw that trailer the other day because you still got it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still got it up. Yeah. Why take it down?
No, it's cool.
Why take it down? You know? So yeah, that's still up there, John. That's still up there.
Well, but people don't realize, Brad, there's a lot of hip hop history in Richmond, because a lot of people don't know that for, I think it was Fresh Fest 2, we were the first stop in Fresh Fest 2.
I don't know about Fresh Fest 2. You might be right. I know for the Def Jam 1 and 2, Def Jam 87, Def Jam 88, we were, because they stayed here 3 days. They stayed here 3 days. Yeah, on both years. They stayed here 3 days.
We were the first stop. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, that's true.
And at one time, they were going to do a Swatch Fresh documentary, but they stopped it. Somebody did a cease and desist on it, and I was like, why?
That might be some behind the scenes stuff we don't know.
Yeah, some licensing or something, man.
Yeah, it might be some of that we don't know. Yeah. And see, that's the thing about it, John. When you're doing these things, these documentaries and stuff, you can run into so many roadblocks.
That's right.
I mean,
definitely.
Like, hold it. You don't have the rights to do this. You don't have the okay to do this. You don't have the okay to do that. I'm like, we just trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
But it's always a possibility that millions could be made off of that one documentary.
Right.
And everybody want to make sure if it happens, I want my piece of the pie.
I mean, even if you just got a picture, you just have a picture in the documentary for a couple seconds. If you don't get with that photographer and get clearance for that, you know, your whole thing can be locked, you know, and that's why a lot of times we'll see trailers online for documentaries and then doc never come out. And you'd be like, oh, whatever happened with that? That looked like it was going to be good. Like, they couldn't clear the music, or it's usually some case like that.
The hip hop legends that I did, that was one of the reasons I didn't use anything like Sugar Hill or anything. That's why I didn't use it, because I know that I was going to have a hard time clearing it. So I just left the music out and let the people tell the story. Like John, you were one, and of course Jay, you were one.
When Puff Daddy did that to Gene, man, and stopped his stuff when he wanted to put out his stuff. I know there was some personal things going on and some things that Puff didn't want to get out, but to kill the man's project with the licensing and the insurance and stuff like that, come on, man.
Who you said? Gene who?
I think his name was Gene Deal, the former bodyguard for Biggie.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He tells a lot of stories on his YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
But one thing that you put out, Jaquan, that a lot of people didn't know, and I was like, whoa, he did his homework, because it's right there on the back of the album, and then sometimes it's not listed or credited. But when you talked about the ghostwriter for Curtis Blow, I was like, woo!
Oh, yeah. William Warren. What's up, Billy Bill, if you watching? Yeah, he wrote on basketball.
He did. I was like, yo!
Yeah, he wrote a couple.
Not too many people know that.
Yeah, 8 million stories best. One thing, man, I was a real rap nerd, coming up, and I used to read all the credits on the records back. And I was wondering.
Me too.
Like I remember having games people played by Sweet G, and it had William Warren on it. Then I know one thing I was talking about was Hard Times was the first. Hard Times by Run DMC
was the first remake. A lot of people don't know that.
Right? No, they don't, because they didn't listen to Curtis Blow whole album. So William Warren, he wrote it for Curtis Blow, and then Run DMC covered it. So I used to always look at the credits. And then once the internet came about and I was able to reach out to people, I found William Waring and he was able to tell me, yeah, I wrote Games People Play. And then the Fat Boys, their song, Fat Boys, you know, from when they were at Disco 3, he wrote the melody to that. He didn't write any words, but yeah, he was one of the early, and he corrected me. He said, well, Jay, I ain't really a ghost because a ghost writer, their name doesn't appear. He said, my name was on the credits. People just didn't know. So yeah. And you know, when you were
somebody needs to learn, somebody needs to learn that. Somebody needs to learn before they say somebody's a ghostwriter to know that if the credits are on a record, they're not a ghostwriter. Somebody need to learn that.
Yeah, ghost means they're not there. But
see, John, see how people do, John?
Yeah, John. That was Wayne and Charlie you're talking about. When you said Willie Talent, it was Wayne and Charlie. But they had a record on Sugar Hill. You're right.
Yes.
And they used to tour. They used to tour with the I don't know if you were there, but at one time at King's Dominion, they had the Sugar Hill Review. It was the Mean Machine and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
When Sugar Hill, well, whoever was supposed to, they didn't have enough material, so they started doing other people's songs.
You got a good memory.
I was there. I saw it.
That's why I love this brother John Kilby for years. I love this man. Because this man gonna tell it like it is. I remember, John, I'm gonna tell a story and you're gonna laugh, so I hope you're in a good seat.
Go ahead.
You're gonna laugh too. We were at the Polo Bay.
Oh man.
Milk and Giz came, but they were late. And I was interviewing them for a TV show. And when we were getting ready to leave, we were just talking and everything. It was in the evening. And somebody said, you need to get these teeny boppers out of here. You need to, real rude. John said, and I don't want to curse this bad, but John said, oh, mother him. Get him out of here. He said, that's why I won't need him in this ragged. I'm like, whoa. Oh, and then Giz turns around and dude's wife, Giz said, I got something for that mustache, ma'am, that you got on your face.
Oh, like, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, snap. I said, Giz, you snapped on his wife. He was like, yo, man, the heck with that, man. They dissing us like that. We came down here to help them. And I mean, it was real rude. It was real rude what they did to us. And John came with it, and Giz came with it. I think we went and ate somewhere after that, didn't we, John?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went and got something to eat after that because it was a press conference that we had set up in the back of the room.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And I just thought it was crazy that he rushing people out when you got a guy who had a #1 record, had a #1 album that was on Billboard with top billing, and you gonna put the man out because you want to start. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy, man. If you would have been nice, the man probably would have stayed and sat in your club, and you could have got on some phones and said, well, Audio 2 is here.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. It was really bizarre. But John went off. And I said, you know what? This man is, regardless of what is, I agree, John and I don't agree on every single thing. But one thing that when I do agree with something, he be on point with it. Even if I don't agree with it, if it makes sense, just because I understand it don't mean I agree with it. But that's the relationship John and I have had over the years, and nothing but respect for him. And that's why I'm glad you came on tonight, John. I'm really glad that you did it. This is the first.
Man. You know what? I want to do some work with y'all too, man. Especially you, man. And what to be honest with you, I've always thought about hip hop encyclopedias, man. Volumes with the producers, the dancers, the sections of the country, and I mean, starting off with Jamaica, when you can go and talk about the African griots who were in charge of telling stories to music. The griot held the history, and in order for him to tell the history and keep the kids' attention, they did it to beats and with rhythms. Now you combine that with the DJ from Jamaica, and we've created a music that has now influenced the world.
That's right. That's right.
Very true.
But what's funny is we don't control it.
Well, we gave it away. We gave it away. Well, we didn't give it away. They gave it away.
And it's funny, man. As you know, and I'll be very, I won't sugarcoat it. As Black people, sometimes we can be so reactive as Black people. Like, it's people now to be like, yeah, man, we losing hip hop, and I'm like, we losing hip hop. What the hell you been for the last? Where you been for the last couple of decades? You know
what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, I was listening to somebody, one of these rappers say, I don't write. And in my opinion, it sounds like it. Because it sounds like, I can tell you don't write.
Well, I'm not going to get on the bashing the kids thing, because I've done it enough for the last 30 years, and I'll take
I'm not bashing.
No, I'm not saying you are. But the perception that people will have, which I don't really care, but I don't want to go in that direction. But it's very ironic you said that, because I was on a call yesterday with some students from Southern Cal, and we're talking to the class, and that exact same thing was said. I was saying how, everybody want to now be like Biggie and Jay-Z and say, well, I don't write nothing. I'm like, okay, for them it's kind of genius. Whether you like Jay-Z or not, if he really don't write his stuff down, there's a genius there, and there's definitely a genius with Biggie if they don't write. But some of these cats, you can tell they don't write. Maybe they should.
Yeah, you didn't wrote that word. I can tell. You ain't lying. You didn't write that. You didn't write that. You didn't write that. You found that somewhere, because that's ridiculous, man. And then they put you on a record, and somebody's willing to pay you $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 to you to do that, and they let you come on stage and rap with the record and do karaoke. And it's sad. You're rapping with the record. And back in the day, that would not have flown in Richmond. People would have been throwing ice and keys and some more stuff, because there was a popular DJ. There was a popular DJ who became an activist one night that was on stage cutting some records, and out of nowhere, a set of keys flew up on the stage.
I know who that was.
Who was that? I can't remember who that was.
Yeah, you know who it was.
You know who it was.
Oh, yeah, I do remember now. Oh, you said, but he said he became an activist, and that threw me off. Because I forgot. Yeah, he has become that.
Well, it ain't but one, Brad.
Yeah. And on the white jacket in the tight white Levi's that night, and the set of keys came flying out the audience and hit him. And then he gets on the mic talking about, if you don't like what I'm doing, we can go in the parking lot and throw keys at each other personally. Come on, bro, stop it.
You got a good memory, John.
I saw it. I was right there.
John said, I remember this stuff. I remember on the documentary part, I looked at some of the other footage that I didn't use, and you was like, man, I remember this stuff. I don't know how.
I remember this stuff, because it was a part of my life. See, in my opinion, man, we're not entertained by hip hop. We try to live it and live the bad side of it. You could be hip hop back in our days and still have some type of dignity and respect.
Right. And intelligence.
Yeah. Case in point, when you see a radio come on stage and the guy hit the cassette deck and the dude walk out and start his show, that's genius. When you see a guy spin around in a globe and leave the stage, that's genius. When you see a guy in a pyramid spin around and leave the stage, that's genius.
When I saw Rakim do that, he was in a chair. I think it was inside a pyramid, and it spun around 3 times. On the 3rd time, when you looked up, he wasn't there. And
he was gone.
Rakim ain't known. Rakim is criticized heavily for his lack of enthusiasm on stage, and I get it. But when he came out with that chair and he spun around, and that 3rd time he wasn't there, I was like, I always thought he was incredible lyrically. But when he did that, I was like, man,
was he performing? Nice. Was he performing? Follow the Leader on that one?
It was Follow the Leader.
Follow the Leader. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we had certain rappers that could stand in the middle of the stage or walk back and forth and stop, and it's because you were listening to what they were saying and you were listening to the beats. Case in point, Kwame.
Right.
Could stand in the middle of the stage in one spot for the whole show and rock the show.
That's my man. What's up, Kwame? Yeah, he could. I always say that about Rakim when people, and I admit he don't have a dynamic stage show, but it's not necessary. Like he don't have to dance. Well, first of all, you couldn't really picture him dancing other than when he does his little shoulder move that he does on the video.
Right, right. But he actually did a little bit on the stage for the Def Jam 87 tour when he was doing I Know You Got Soul. He did a little move like that, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Too much. He just did a little bit. And
but
that was
like
all he
said,
needed.
He's for the listeners. With Rakim, you're listening to what he's saying. And dancing would probably interfere with that. I remember when he came up, I remember cutting class. When I don't know what you remember, Brad, the 6th Street Marketplace.
Right.
It might be the same show that we.
It's the same show because they all came to
LL and Rakim and Houdini.
They came to Willie's.
They came. Well, first they came to the 6th Street Marketplace, what it used to be Festival Park.
Right.
They used to between 6th Street and the Coliseum. I got pictures of that. I
remember that because I left school early that day. We cut class and we went down to the 6th Street Marketplace. I'll never forget the sister that was in my class. Yeah, Rakim had signed her like her shoulder or up here or whatever. And he was talking. He was like, "Yeah, how you doing?" She's like, "I'm just chilling." And he said, "Queens don't chill." And she's like, "Huh?" And he said, "Queens don't chill." And I'm like, this dude is the coolest dude ever. You know, I don't sweat a lot of people. I don't sweat nobody, but I just thought Rakim was the coolest. He told her Queens don't chill. And then that night when he got up, he was at the height of the crack epidemic. And when he was doing his show, I'll never forget. When he was checking the mic, he said, "Yeah, how y'all doing out there, Virginia? I don't smell no crack out in the crowd tonight." And I'm wondering, like, what kind of environment is he used to playing in? Because I didn't know what crack smelled like in '87. I knew what crack was, but for him to say, "I don't smell no crack in the crowd," I'm like, where do this dude play? What do crack smell like? I never forget.
Yeah, and but see, it's just like what John said. We lived it. That's what I said earlier, Jay. We lived this. Can't nobody tell us nothing different. We were there. We lived it.
Yeah, and to see, actually, where you ain't got to be hard to do this music, because when you watch Grandmaster Flash do their shows, they were entertainers. I remember Grandmaster Flash was on a show with Rick James one night, and Rick James didn't show up to the Coliseum.
We just talked about that.
We just talked about that show.
And Rick James didn't, and they left and came back and tried to do some more of their shows, and people booed them off the stage. Melly Mel grabs the mic. It was like, "Yo, we trying to do y'all a favor, so you ain't got to be doing all this booing in S."
I just was telling Brad about that show because I was saying how I remember they let the music play by Shannon was out because Flash was backspinning it. But
yes,
right.
he was.
And I was telling Brad, huh?
You got a good memory.
Well, because it blew my mind because I'm a DJ as well. And the reason I'm a DJ is because in '81 he put out Adventures on the Wheels of Steel, and it totally blew my mind. So every time Flash did something, I studied Flash. I really studied everything he did. And when he spun that Let the Music Play, I'll never forget it. And Rick James didn't show up because I was telling Brad I won tickets to that show on the radio.
Let me say this. You just reminded me, Jay. I remember that show. That was 83. That was 1983. And
Mary Jane Girls, the guy who did the Smurf, was on that show.
Tyrone Brunson.
Tyrone Brunson was on that show.
Yeah. Because Chip called me up. He said, "Man, take me to the hotel on Franklin Street, the Holiday Inn, the same one that everybody used to stay at after the show."
I remember that.
After the Def Jam tours came through, like the other smaller tours that came through that Jose brought through, everybody stayed at that hotel on Franklin Street.
Remember that?
All right. I took Chip to the Franklin Street Hotel, went up with him. I forgot, it's the guy that was the promoter out of DC. Daryl something. I can't remember his name. I think he's passed. But I took Chip to see him. And I was talking to the guys that was working with them, and they were just talking to me, find out, who I was. They knew who Chip was, and they said, "Man, we didn't know Chip had a brother." For some reason back in the day, Chip didn't tell nobody he had a brother. But anyway, this was like, for Junior Funk Machine time. So I said, "Hey, look, man, is the Mary Jane Girls here?" He looked over at me. He said, "They down the hall. You want to meet them?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, come on. Man, I met the Mary Jane girls down the doggone hall.
Really?
So then it came out, Chip come out with all these tickets. I didn't want to go to the show for some reason. I don't know what the heck was going on with me, but I didn't want to go to the show. And we took the tickets over there to doggone Gilpin Court and sold them. I'll never forget that. We sold those, but guess what? In one way, I was glad I didn't go because that was the night Rick James did not show up.
Yeah, he did
not show up.
They said,
and I had won tickets. I won tickets, so I couldn't even complain. Kilby, I was telling Brad earlier that I have a picture somewhere. I may put it up, but I had won tickets to the show, and I won a shirt, and it had like Rick James' name, like written in cursive, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Mary Jane Girls. Everybody on the show, the name was on the shirt. And I was telling him, I remember it was 83 as well, because I refused to call it a Jerry curl. I had a moist afro. on the
had a moist afro.
Yeah, it was what do you think about that one, John? What do you think about that?
It was a moist afro. I won't call it a Jerry curl, but I have that picture. And I had the Rick James shirt on. I remember winning those tickets off the radio because I was telling Brad that the redial button was a new feature on the touchtone phones. We all at this point. And I could
when you were trying to win on the radio.
Huh?
When you was trying to win on the radio and you had the phone
when they said the seventh caller, I could always hit that button and be the seventh caller. I used to win on WENZ and WANT so much. I think it was ENZ. They told me that for 2 months I couldn't participate no more.
Yeah.
Because I forgot where you had to go pick up the tickets. But my cousin actually worked on WENZ, and I forgot what office you had to go to. Wherever it was, they banned me for 2 months from participating because I used to win those contests all the time.
Let me tell you something, man. WENZ had one of the first overnight mix shows when I was a kid in the project. WENZ.
Yes,
that was where I first heard. Now, if you listen to Busta Rhymes' song, what's the name of that song? If You Really Want to Party With Me, that was a real. That's a sample from one of those first breaking records, man.
Yeah, the electric was on ET. It was ET Boogie by the ET. ET. Yeah.
Oh my God, man! I couldn't wait for WENZ to play that song. They had this overnight mix show, man. That used to come on at 11 o'clock.
Yep, he's right. I remember it. I don't know what it was called, but I remember it because when we used to hang out downtown at that time, we used to go downtown cruising because we had just got our license, and we used to drive. And we used to cut on WENZ once we could get it downtown, and it'd be going because this guy used to spin Thelma Houston, If You Feel It. He used to backspin it on the air.
Yes. I don't know who that guy was,
but he was bad. They said it was Jay Lang. They said it was Jay Lang.
WENZ had 2 buildings. At night, it would transfer over to where McKeechin and G office is on the burning.
In the basement.
Yes.
Wow. I'm learning something.
This was my first radio job. My first radio job was at that station in 1985. It was
this is radio
running the station.
That is incredible.
He hired me.
That's it. Well, one of my fondest memories of ENZ. That was the first time I heard Planet Rock was on ENZ, and I love to tell these kind of stories. When I meet the people that made these records, I love to relay these stories. I had extensive conversations with John Roby and Arthur Baker, who produced Planet Rock, and I was telling them the thing that was so special about Planet Rock was it was the first time a rap record had that many versions. You had the regular vocal version, then you had the instrumental, which had stuff in it that the vocal didn't. Bronx Rock to the Planet Rock. They named all the cities. Chicago Rock. So that was a whole different version. Then you had the bonus beats, which Tommy Boy used to kill him with the bonus beats because that was a whole different beat that you could mix. And the day I heard Planet Rock on the radio, I didn't hear the vocal version first. I might have heard the bonus beats, and I was like, "What's that?" And this was around the time they used to have the June Jubilee. When the June Jubilee was a very black event before U-Crops took it over. When the June Jubilee came that summer, that Planet Rock was on. Everybody wanted to pop and lock that summer, and that's back when you had the letters. You could iron the letters on your shirt.
And Dirt Shirt. We used to go to Dirt Shirt.
Dirt Shirt.
Y'all old, not me. Y'all old.
Dirt Shirt. We used to Junior Funk Machine went there and Z-Rock Crew.
I used to go to Dirt Shirt.
You could win. You had to win. You could call Channel 8 News, and if you called there on time, then you could win a shirt and go to the Dirt Shirt and get it from them. Channel 8 News used to have a used to.
Well, you could get the letters and you could add them yourself, but of course they'll be crooked. You go to the Dirt Shirt and they line it up with the ruler and all that.
And they put the thing down and mash it, and it be ready to go. You wear it right out the store. You wear it right out the store. Be hot as hell on you though, especially in the summertime. You wear that shit, should be burning the hell out you.
It do. Yeah. At June Jubilee that year, everybody wanted to be a breaker or a popper more so back then, and they had the crew name on the front, then your name on the back, or vice versa. But I remember Planet Rock. Every time that kind of music would come out, I would ask my parents, I don't know what this is. Can we go to the record store and see if we can find it? And for Planet Rock, it was like within a 2-hour period, I heard 3 different versions of the song, and it just was mind blowing. And that was on WENZ. That's what AM still, I don't even know if that was 82. I don't know if Magic and all that stuff. Was Magic out yet?
Magic came on around
3 years later?
No. Actually, Magic soon after that, around 1982, going into 83, it came on. And then you had Kiss 96 to kick on after that and stuff. And because
I wasn't a big fan of Kiss 96, man.
Look, Kiss 96 was taking over. They really had taken over at the time. Then ironically,
but see, Kiss 96 didn't know if they wanted to be Q94 or WANT. One of the two.
But here's the thing, John. That was the way that radio should be, because they played everything that was black music, hip hop, go-go, dance classics, electro, R&B, soul. They did it. They didn't discriminate about anything.
You should say that, man, because I had to school a young boy in the barbershop, man. He was like, man, he made a statement
like that's a normal thing these days.
This is white people music. And I'm like, white people music? I was like, boy, do you not know? I said, have you ever heard the song Planet Rock? He said, yeah. I said, man, that's the Clash. Do your history. Do your research.
Real quick. I got to shout somebody out that's joined us.
Who?
Legendary Dr. Disco.
Oh, wow.
Hey, sir.
So we got to shout him out. My man, Carol Turner, a.k.a. Dr. Disco. Peace and blessings to you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, go ahead, John.
One of the things I said, if you hear Planet Rock, that's the Clash, man. Find out who the Clash are before you make those statements. Now, if you listen to Puff Daddy and you hear Been Around the World, that's David Bowie, man.
Yep. If you listen to Biggie, can't you see?
That's
Alfred. I just played it. Two songs ago. I just played it.
Rise. That's right. See, the thing is, man, and this is the sad part about how the torch wasn't passed down by, kind of our generation dropped. Our parents' generation dropped the ball in some ways, and then in some ways we did, and not necessarily us. We don't have the power to do certain things, but radio. I used to listen to Casey Kasem growing up, so I would learn something about the music. Listen to Don Cornelius every Saturday. At some point, we stopped transferring that music down. So, these kids, in their defense, they didn't have an MTV. I mean, luckily, I grew up with listening to Coke Escovedo in my household, Donald Byrd, Earth, Wind, and Fire. We had a plethora of different, and that's why when hip hop came or when rap music came along, I loved it so much because it reminded me of Simone Day and all the stuff, New Birth, everything I grew up on. But my mother was into Hendrix. I couldn't get Hendrix, but that's the kind of music. And then by the time MTV came, Duran Duran, Eurythmics, Thompson Twins,
yes sir, Hold Me
Culture
Now.
Club. Yeah, Culture Club.
Oh, Hold Me Now.
There you go, John. There you go.
So Flock of Seagulls. So even Billy Joel, I knew who Billy Joel was, but I really got up on Billy Joel when he had Uptown Girl and Tell Her About It in the MTV era.
But you know what's funny though? KRS-One appreciated Billy Joel when he took interpolated "It's Still Rock and Roll to Me" when he said, "Brown lady hip hop queens will only get dropped, still telling lies to me." That's an interpolation from "Still Rock and Roll to Me" by Billy Joel.
Right. Well, also, the Cold Crush brothers and Kool G Rap, the pianos from Road to the Riches. That's Billy Joel as well.
You're Slipping by BDP.
Right.
Yes.
That's Smoke in the Water by what's the rock and roll?
And that AC/DC?
It might be AC/DC. It may be.
You might be thinking about Back in Black.
Early AC/DC.
But either way, man, that we grew up on that. By the time the crack era was over with and the late 80s was over with, music wasn't you didn't have the integration of music like that. We could listen to that kind of music and nobody would clown you because we all enjoyed it. You grew up to the Eagles. If you don't know Hotel California, you our age, I don't know where you were.
Right.
That's the Eagles. That's the Eagles, ain't it?
So, but if today, if a group like Culture Club came out today, there'd be a lot of kids that'd be scared to listen to it. Back then, I didn't care what Boy George had on or what his affiliation was. That time won't give me time was it. And
Spandau Ballet, true. Spandau Ballet. I didn't care if they was whatever they was, but they was.
I didn't know they were because the 80s was so androgynous, you couldn't tell who was who. I was a big Ready for the World fan. Not that they were, homosexuals or anything, but the way, the Jerry curls and the way Prince is.
Let's go deeper than that. Go look at that first Hall & Oates album. It will surprise you.
Oh,
He's
wow.
Right.
Yeah, that one is out
right.
there.
Yep.
But I tell you what's funny is I was a huge fan of the Village People. Now I'm probably 7, 8 years old.
But see, you wouldn't know what the Village. You wouldn't know what the statement behind Village People meant if you hadn't been to New York.
I didn't know what the Village was.
They go to the Village.
The coolest thing was the thing I thought was the coolest that they all had their different characters. Like, oh man, you got the construction man and the Indian. It's like, for the age I was at that time, which was probably what was YMCA, probably 79, 80.
75, I think it was.
No, it won't that. It was closer to the 80s than that. It won't 75.
It was
the 70s though. It had to be the 70s.
It would have been 79 then.
We're gonna get this right. That's YMCA.
I'll pull the record out. Hold on.
77. I think it was 77. Hold on. Let me do this.
I'm gonna do 75 because I was 5 years old. 75.
She do Google. So let me see what I can do. Hold on.
I bet you a Hawks fish sandwich it was 79.
A Hawks fish sandwich
because it's up the street from him, so he can conveniently go pick it up and run it over here to Southside to me.
Hawks is. Oh, they still got the Hawks over there on Brook Road.
Yes, sir. It's still good. Some days it ain't good, but last time I had it was good.
1978, it looks like.
You sure on 79?
Let's see. Village People song, official YMCA.
That was off the album Macho Man.
That was
He's off the
I Am What I Am.
That was off the album Cruising,
I Am What I Am.
1978. It was off the album Cruising.
Yep.
Yeah, 1978, released 1978.
Yeah. So my point is like those kind of groups, is you got to be hard with everything these days. That's funny. I was remembering remember Phil Collins and Maurice White, those kind of cats. They had. It's funny. My kids, they call it when you losing your hair like that. They call it the cul-de-sac, right? Because it looked like a cul-de-sac.
You told me something. I didn't know that's what it was called. You told me something.
Yeah, that's what the kids call the cul-de-sac. So. Look how big of a star Maurice White was, and he only had hair around here like
right.
Bill Jefferson. Look at Phil Collins. I don't remember a time when Phil Collins had a full head of hair. When he had the biggest part of his career, he had the cul-de-sac. Right. Imagine today any rap cat or any top R&B cat, because of the ageism and stuff, you're never gonna get no cul-de-sac dude selling no top 40 or being like Phil Collins was.
Well, Rufus Thomas was there.
Around here. So Rufus Thomas, man,
Rufus Thomas did it. Yeah, back then Rufus Thomas did it. Rufus Thomas had it.
A lot of people, but I mean, name one. Any cat today, they just get a bald head. He ain't
gonna walk around with that bozo look on that George Jefferson. No, he ain't gonna walk around looking like Mr. Green Jeans right here.
100%.
right, John, this ain't the Polo Bay, okay?
Hey, man. Y'all used to have me and Divine cracking up so hard. You know, Divine is a fool, man. And when we used to all hang out at the shows and stuff, you know, hotels and stuff, y'all used to have us cracking up so bad.
John would be so great with his segues on air at DCE. And I'm not going to say who he was talking about, but this particular artist is not with us anymore. But John was talking about him. And John said, yeah, you need to cut that bush. You know,
I remember that. I remember you talking about that. I remember.
Yeah, but Jay thought it was me saying that. I said that was John that said that about cut. I said John come with them cracks harder than me.
Hey,
John would come with those cracks hard.
Me and Divine used to be rolling off John so hard. But I tell you, one of the funniest things at the show, Brad, you know, Lil Walter used to have us out at the Powhatan Fairgrounds a lot doing shows.
Right.
So one night was at the Powhatan Fairgrounds, and this it had to be before Coming to America came out. So it was this cat. I tell you, I wish that we had some kind of recorders back then. It's this R&B cat was opening up for us, right?
Right.
And when the Randy Watson dude, the Saxon Chocolate dude, he was that to a T. I mean, there's the dude that was a little too old to be doing the kind of music he was doing. Definitely had the curl. I mean, and he thought he was Prince. He was doing and all of that. So of course, me and Divine are fools. So the whole time he's performing, we yelling to the crowd. Mind you, we're the headlining act. He's opening up for us. And you know, Divine is a fool, but I'm more of a fool when I'm with Divine. So I'm yelling out, you know, stuff about his curl and you know, about how old he is. And one of the points that I yelled out, the music had just went down. So everybody heard what I said. He said, see, young boy, that's why you down there and I'm up here. And me and Divine just bust out laughing because you're opening up for us, but he don't know it. But if you could have seen this cat, that was Randy Watson before Randy Watson.
Wow.
That was one of the funniest things. Y'all were there, but I don't know where you and Fresh was at that moment when it was so, man, me and Divine still trip off there.
Wow, that's something.
Crazy, man.
Hey, look, we got to close this out, fellas. We've been on here 2 hours and 16 minutes. John, thank you for joining us, man.
I got to eat,
man. We need to do this again, man. And for real, man, I want to do some stuff with you. I want to do some history stuff, man.
I think we exchanged numbers last time, but if not, I'll get, you know, Brad can just shoot both of us, you know, each other's numbers, man. Whenever you want to do something, that's what I do now, man. So just let me know. And
John, we're doing the sample that we're gonna be filming the sample this show it's not sample this. That's the cooking show. If you see on the screen CVA 360 over to the side, that's a show that we're gonna start doing again. We did a pilot of it, but we're gonna do that show. We're gonna start filming segments for it. So we'll bring you on for that too, man.
Okay, because I saw when y'all started doing this podcast, man, where y'all was going through these kitchens and stuff. I was like, that is kind of cool, man.
Oh yeah,
That's sample this. That's the cooking show. We're gonna hook that back up too. We're gonna start that back up too. We're just trying to, man, look. We're just trying to let this damn pandemic go down a little bit more so we can start gathering a little bit better, man. Too many people getting sick, man. Too many people.
Yeah, and see, you know, quiet as it's kept, I done been through COVID twice.
Did you?
Twice. Yeah.
Hey,
so I can't wait to get that second shot and the booster.
Oh, I got the booster. I've been boosted. I was boosted a few weeks ago. At
first, I wasn't convinced, but boy, once you catch it and then catch it again, it's real, buddy.
Yeah, it's 2 times. I've heard a lot of people have it 2 times. I can't imagine having it twice, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Listen, fellas, thank y'all so much for the night, man. This has been Bravador Live.
It was fun, man. We had to.
We had a lot. Y'all, please share this. Share the rebroadcast of this. Please share it in the background. It's WQ Mix Worldwide Radio, 24/7. Everybody, please share it. Spread the word about WQ Mix Worldwide Radio.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much, y'all, for being here. Take care, y'all.
It be easy, man.
All right, my man. Peace.
Okay.